We're starting in three, two, one. Welcome back to Epstein Files Review, episode 73. As always, this is an 18 and up channel, so if you're under the age of 18, we're going to have to ask you to leave. And with that being said, we're going to jump right back down the rabbit hole. We're going to start with a recap of our last file, 7200. We have a lot of meat on the bones lately. The last episode was about 2.5 hours long, so we're going to continue with these police reports. I'll just start with the last paragraph of file 7200 just so we could jump into the first file of the day. So we started out towards the residence, which was located at 358 El Brio, which is Epstein's address, and arrived at approximately 9:33 a.m. Search was conducted. Items were collected by evidence specialist redacted, photographed by CSI redacted, and then videotaped by myself. The search was concluded at approximately 3:05 p.m., whereupon Detective Redacted and I were the last two officers in the house. Upon securing the residence, we met with the gentleman who identified himself as Detective Redacted as the lawyer for the defendant, and he was informed that the residence was secured and that copies of the inventory return had been left on the first floor table of the personal assistant's office. Detective Redacted and I returned to police headquarters and secured for the day. On October 20th, 2005, I assisted, detective, they wrote defective, Detective Redacted in the execution of a search warrant at 358 El Brio Way, Palm Beach, Florida 33480. Upon the announcement of the search warrant, immediate contact was made with three white males who came out of the house or surrounding structures. Those males were identified as redacted, and redacted. As other members of the police department cleared the home, I kept watch over these three males. Once the house was cleared, those males were turned over to Detective Redacted. Detective Redacted and I were assigned to assist in the search of the main house, the cabana, and the servants' quarters. We started in the garage. All areas of the garage were searched to include four vehicles. These vehicles were three black Mercedes-Benz cars registered to Jeffrey Epstein. The fourth vehicle was a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, green in color, registered to Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing was recovered from the garage. The towel closet and pantry located off the kitchen were searched and yielded negative results. The kitchen was searched and taken into evidence was a phone message book that was located near a house phone. North of the kitchen was an office room which contained a computer. The room had a closet that contained a locked gun locker. The combination was entered by Redacted in the presence of Sergeant Redacted, and the safe was open. Items were taken from the room. See the completed property receipt for a detailed list. A green bathroom located on the first floor was searched and nothing was taken. A closet located just west of the green bathroom was searched. Two massage tables were located in the closet along with a photo of a nude female from the waist up. See the property receipt for details. I searched two bedrooms and their adjoining bathrooms, which were located on the second floor of the east side of the house. In the northeast bedroom closet, I found adult sex toys called twin torpedoes. Soap made in the shape of a penis and vagina were also found in these upstairs bedrooms. See the property receipt for details. I searched the pool cabana located on the south side of the pool. Photos were taken from the wall. See the property receipt for details. I assisted in the search of redacted living quarters. Numerous CDs along with a message book was seized. See the property receipt for details. On November 1st, 2005, I was contacted by attorney Gus Fronston, who advised he was willing to assist with the investigation. Attorney Fronston advised he would try to have his client Jeffrey Epstein available to be interviewed. I explained I would be interested in conducting an interview with his client as well as other employees that are employed within the house. So they are taking the efforts to interview the employees to see if they saw anything. I'm wondering if they did that at all the properties, but Attorney Fronston advised he would return my call once he received confirmation on the interviews. On November 6, 2005, I attempted contact with the redacted at her residence. I left a business card for her to return my call. Upon returning to the police department, I had received a telephone call from Redacted. I returned her call at Redacted and spoke with Redacted. She made arrangements to respond to the station to provide an interview. At approximately 3:30 p.m., she arrived at the Palm Beach police station with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was allowed to sit in the lobby area while Miss Redacted was interviewed. I took Miss Redacted to the Detective Bureau interview room. I closed the door for privacy and explained to her that I appreciated her coming to the police station for the interview. During the sworn taped statement, she advised she was at Jeffrey Epstein's house one time. Approximately 2 months ago, she was approached by a girl Redacted, who was dating her roommate to make some quick cash. Redacted advised she was in need to make some quick cash to make the rent that month. She agreed to go to the house. She had been told by Redacted that the massage would have to be done in her underwear. She advised Redacted drove with her and brought her into the house. They walked into the kitchen area and took the stairs upstairs. The Redacted further stated she was brought into a master bedroom area. She advised she recalled seeing portraits of naked women throughout the room. A massage table was already out near the sauna shower area in the master bedroom. Epstein entered the room wearing only a towel and introduced himself as Jeff. Redacted advised she recalled she and Redacted removing their clothing down to their panties. Epstein lay on his stomach area and they provided a massage on his legs and feet area. I asked Redacted if she had any formal massage training, and she replied no. Redacted advised she was topless and the panties she wore were the boy shorts lace panties. She and Redacted continued the massage until the last 10 minutes of the massage. Epstein told Redacted to leave the room so that Redacted could finish the massage. Redacted got dressed and Epstein turned over onto his back. Epstein then removed the towel, which had been around his waist. Epstein laid there naked and requested that Redacted rub his chest area. Redacted stated as she did this, Epstein began Redacted as she rubbed his chest. Redacted stated he redacted and he produced a large white you know what with a large head. She stated it was within a drawer in his master bathroom. Redacted advised he never redacted with the vibrator. He continued to redacted, stated she was very uncomfortable during the incident but knew it was almost over. Epstein climaxed and started to remove himself from the table. He wiped himself with the towel he had on previously and went into the shower area. Redacted got dressed and met with Redacted in the kitchen area. Epstein came into the kitchen and provided Redacted $200 for bringing Redacted and paid $200 to Redacted for providing the massage. Redacted was told to leave her telephone number with Redacted, his assistant, for future contact. Redacted provided her cellular telephone number for future contact. So I'm noticing a pattern. I'm sure you guys are as well. So he has the recruiter that gets paid the $200. He has the new girl give the massage. She gets $200, and he requests their contact number for future massages. And as you see, she gave her phone number for future contact, even though she stated right here she was very uncomfortable during the incident. Redacted provided her cellular number for future contact. Redacted was asked if she was recently contacted about this investigation by anyone from the Epstein organization. She replied she was called, but it was for work. She stated she was called by Redacted for her to return to work for Epstein. Redacted stated work is the term used by Redacted to provide the massage in underwear. Redacted advised she declined as she was not comfortable in providing that type of work. The interview was concluded and the video was placed into evidence. So maybe she provided her phone number just so it wouldn't be awkward, but as you can see, she declined to come back. On November 7th, 2005, I made telephone contact with Redacted, who advised she would be able to meet with me at her home. Detective Redacted and I traveled to her home in Royal Palm Beach and made contact with Redacted. During a sworn statement, Redacted stated she met Jeffrey Epstein through Redacted. Redacted would approach females who wished to work for him. Redacted stated she was asked to work for him but declined. Redacted explained that work means give massages. She was asked about any formal training in providing massages, to which she said no. Redacted said she accompanied Redacted and other females. So this individual, in narrative 16, wasn't willing to work herself, but she was willing to send other girls to the gauntlet to be basically violated by Jeffrey Epstein. Make of that what you will. Take a quick sip of my coffee. And other females who were taken to Epstein's house to provide massages. Redacted said she accompanied Redacted and other females who were taken to Epstein's house to provide massages. Redacted further stated she had been to the house approximately 4 or 5 times in the past year. She accompanied Redacted with Redacted, so it names all the people, Redacted and Redacted. Each time the girls were taken over, they were previously told they would have to provide a massage, possibly naked. It was also told that should Epstein require them to do anything extra and they were not comfortable, just tell him and he would stop. Redacted stated Redacted received $200 for each girl she brought over to massage Jeffrey Epstein. When asked which girl appeared to be the youngest, she replied the victim, as she stated she was 15 years old at the most. She looked really young. Redacted further stated each time she went to the house, she sat in the kitchen and waited with Redacted until the massage was over. So she's basically recruiting these girls, and then she's sitting, I wouldn't say safely, but she's sitting in the kitchen while all of this stuff is happening upstairs, and then she's just collecting her money. She further stated that the cook would make lunch or a snack for them as they waited. Now, this is it's been several times where they say the cook is providing food while all of this is going on. The cook should be questioned. The cook should be charged because they were facilitating. I asked her if there was anything that caught her attention within the home. Redacted stated that there were a lot of naked girls and photographs throughout the house. The interview was concluded and the tape was turned into evidence. Detective Redacted and I attempted contact with the Redacted in Royal Palm Beach. I left my business card at her front door. Miss Redacted removed my call and arranged a meeting with me at the Palm Beach Police Department for November 8th, 2005. At approximately 2 p.m., Redacted arrived at the Palm Beach Police Department. She was brought into the interview room and the door was closed for privacy. She was told that I appreciated her coming to the police station for questioning regarding an ongoing investigation. She was told that I was investigating a crime involving Jeffrey Epstein and knew based on the investigation that she had encounters with him in the past. During a sworn statement, Redacted stated she had met Epstein approximately 2 years ago. She was first introduced to Epstein by Redacted. Redacted approached her about working for Epstein and providing massage to him for $200. The arrangements were made, and as Redacted could not take her the day the arrangements were made, Redacted took Redacted, also attended Redacted, and was familiar with Epstein. Redacted recalled she was brought there and entered through the back kitchen door. She had met with an assistant, Redacted, and another assistant, Redacted. Redacted brought her upstairs as she observed several photographs of naked females throughout the house. Redacted stated Epstein came in the room wearing only a towel and laid on the table. Redacted stated he picked out the oils he wanted her to use and requested she remove her clothes to provide the massage. Redacted stated that on the first massage she provided, she did not remove her clothing. Redacted stated she had returned several times after that. Each time she returned, more things happened. Redacted stated that the same thing would happen. Epstein would walk into the master bedroom slash bathroom area wearing only a towel. He would, you know what, as he redacted. Oh, excuse me. He would, you know what, as she provided a massage. Redacted stated she was unsure if he climaxed as he, you know what, it under the towel. Additionally, she never looked below his waist. She claimed that Epstein would convince her to remove her clothes. She eventually removed her clothes and stayed in her thong panties. On occasion, Epstein would redacted. Every time she provided a massage, he would, you know what, redacted added. She has no formal training in providing a massage. Redacted stated she brought two females during her visits to provide massages. Redacted stated she brought a girl named Redacted and Redacted from Redacted. Redacted stated she received $200 for each girl she brought. Additionally, Redacted was given $200 for taking her in the very beginning. The interview was concluded and the tape was placed into evidence. Investigation continues. So all of these girls were recruited as victims and then they became recruiters shortly after. On November 8, 2005, I made telephone contact with Redacted at her residence. Redacted responded to the police station for an interview reference an ongoing investigation. At approximately 2:30 p.m., she arrived at the Palm Beach Police Station and was brought into the interview room for the interview. The door was closed for privacy, and she was told that I appreciated her cooperation in this case. During a sworn taped statement, Redacted stated she had met Jeffrey Epstein approximately 1 year ago. She was approached by a subject known to her as Redacted. Redacted had asked her if she wanted to make money providing massages to Epstein. Redacted had heard that several girls from Redacted were doing this and making money. She agreed and was taken to the house by Redacted. Redacted had introduced her to Redacted and Epstein and brought her upstairs to a master bedroom and master bathroom where a massage table was prepared and the proper oils were taken out. Redacted left the room and waited downstairs for Redacted. Redacted stated Epstein entered the room wearing a towel and she provided a massage wearing only her thong panties. Redacted advised Epstein had you know whated every time she provided a massage. She stated Epstein continued to you know what until he climaxed. Once that occurred, the Redacted was over. She felt the whole situation was weird, but she advised she was paid $200 for providing the massage. She also stated Redacted received $200 for bringing Redacted to Epstein. Redacted stated she had gone a total of 15 times to his residence to provide a massage, and things had escalated from just providing a massage. Epstein began Redacted. Epstein also redacted as she provided the massage. Redacted stated on one occasion he offered extra money to Redacted. She stated this all occurred on the massage table. Redacted stated Epstein redacted and climaxed onto the massage table. Redacted received $350 for a massage. Asked her if she had any formal training in providing massages. Redacted said she did not. Redacted continued to state on one other occasion Epstein introduced his assistant Redacted into the massage. So the assistants, and this is I believe the second or third time that the assistant was actually getting a massage as well. They need to be charged as predators because they're doing the exact same thing Epstein is doing. Redacted was brought into a room with Redacted to provide a massage. Epstein had Redacted as they provided a massage to Epstein. Epstein watched and you know what, as this occurred on, okay, Epstein watched and you know what it. So I'm assuming this is two people doing something else, and Epstein is watching. On other occasions, Epstein introduced the large white you know what during the massage. Epstein redacted, she provided the massage. Redacted stated the last time she spoke with anyone at the house was with Redacted during the weekend of October 2nd or 3rd, 2005. Redacted stated she had brought two people to the Epstein house. She provided the names of Redacted and Redacted, unknown last name. It should, I'm assuming this should say be noted, Redacted had been previously identified as Redacted and had been previously interviewed. The interview was concluded and the videotape was placed into evidence via the locker system. On November 9, 2005, Sergeant Redacted and I traveled to Redacted in Boynton Beach, Florida, in hopes to interview Redacted, the former houseman of Epstein's home. So they're finally interviewing the staff. As no one was home, a business card was left for him to return my call. We then traveled to Redacted in Miami in hopes to interview Redacted, a former houseman of Epstein. So they're reaching out to multiple workers at Epstein's house. We did not locate them at home. I left a business card for him to return my call. We then traveled to Redacted and met with Dean of Students, Mr. Redacted. We requested to speak with Redacted. Redacted was interviewed as she still was in possession of the rental car that Epstein had acquired for her. So talk about being caught with the evidence. I mean, that corroborates the story. She's still in possession of the rental car that Epstein had rented for her. All they had to do was get the rental agreement, and it's clear as day. Redacted stated that Redacted Epstein's assistant had called her on her cellular phone and informed her that the rental was extended for her. Redacted stated she had paid an additional $625 for her to keep the rental an extra month. Redacted was asked if she had any additional contact with either Epstein or anyone from his organization. Redacted stated she did not, other than the telephone call informing her that she could keep the car for an extra month. Redacted did not provide any additional information. On November 10th, 2005, at approximately 9:47 a.m., Redacted a telephone reference my business card found on his door. Redacted stated he had worked with Epstein for approximately 6 months after the previous houseman left. So they finally got in contact with one of the housemen. Redacted stated that it was his responsibility to keep the identity of the masseuses private. Mr. Epstein had a massage in the morning and one in the afternoon. Mr. Redacted stated he would rather speak about this in private. He advised he would come to the police station to speak with me. Redacted stated he would return my call on Monday, November 14th, 2005. I then made telephone contact with Redacted. He advised he found my card on his door and wanted to know what I needed to speak with him about. I explained to Redacted that I was conducting an investigation on his former employer, Mr. Epstein. Redacted stated he would return my call shortly as he was in the middle of a project at his home. I received a telephone call from attorney Redacted. From Redacted, Mr. Redacted stated he represented Mr. Redacted and did not want me speaking with his client. So, talk about an admission of guilt. First, the houseman reaches out, says he's willing to cooperate, and then the next call is from his lawyer stating he does not want to speak to them, which means he was in on it and he's trying to protect himself at this point. I then made telephone contact with the state attorney's office and confirmed that subpoenas would be issued to the former employees to assist in the investigation. So basically, since they weren't willing to speak to the investigators on their own will, now they had to be subpoenaed and forced to testify, which means they should be charged. I then made telephone contact with attorney Guy Fronston, attorney for Mr. Epstein. I explained to Mr. Fronston that I would like to speak with Mr. Epstein. He stated Mr. Epstein is not in residence in Florida at this time and would check with him to ascertain if he would be here by Wednesday, November 16th, 2005 for an interview. Mr. Fronston stated he would return my call should Mr. Epstein decide to come in to the police station for an interview. Now, none of this should have been voluntary. I mean, they should have just picked him up, placed him under arrest for suspicions of trafficking, and forced him to do the interview. I mean, he could bring his lawyer and plead the fifth, which essentially he did, but the interview should have took place by force. On November 14, 2005, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Redacted in Luxahachie, Florida, and spoke with Redacted. She was told of the ongoing investigation involving Epstein. Redacted advised she had gone to the house on several occasions. During a sworn taped statement, she advised she started going to the house approximately 1 year ago and was brought by Redacted, unknown last name. Redacted stated she Redacted brought her into the house and she was introduced to a girl named Redacted. Once she met her, Redacted brought her upstairs into a master bedroom bathroom. Redacted stated she met Jeffrey in the bathroom. He lay on the table and picked the massage oils. She provided the massage as he lay naked on the massage table, on the massage bed. She stated she rubbed his calves and back area. Upon the end of the massage, Epstein removed himself from the massage table and paid her $300 for the massage. Redacted stated she had only been at the house approximately 5 or 6 times. Redacted said each time she went to the house, she was notified by Redacted, Epstein's assistant, that Epstein was in town and would like her to work. Redacted stated she returned to the house and was again led upstairs by Redacted. She provided the massage clothed. Redacted advised it wasn't really weird until later on. Redacted was asked if she ever removed her clothing to provide a massage. Redacted stated it was not until the third time she went that she removed her clothing. Redacted stated she was notified by Redacted that Epstein wanted her to come to work. She arrived at the house and was led upstairs by Redacted. She started providing the massage when Epstein asked her to remove her clothing. Now, why are they removing the name of the person that's continuously leading these girls upstairs for this victimization? Redacted removed her pants, shirt, and bra. She stayed in her thong panties and continued rubbing Epstein. Epstein turned over onto his back and she rubbed his chest area. Redacted stated she knew he was whatting himself as she provided the massage. Redacted stated she believed he climaxed based on his breathing. She did not want to view either the climax or the fact that he was whatting. Redacted stated once the breathing relaxed, he got up and told her to get dressed. She was paid $300 for her services. Redacted stated on the last time she went to provide a massage, she was notified by Redacted to come to the house and work. Redacted stated she was now dating her current boyfriend and did not feel comfortable going. She recalled it was approximately January 2005. She said she went already thinking that this would be the last time. She went upstairs and went to the master bedroom. She met with Epstein, who was wearing only a towel. As he entered the room to lie on the table, Redacted stated Epstein caught her looking at the clock on several occasions. Epstein asked her if she was in a hurry. Redacted stated her boyfriend was in the car waiting for her. Redacted further stated that Epstein got upset and as she wasn't enjoying the massage. I'm assuming he wasn't enjoying the massage. She told him that she didn't want to continue and she would not be back. Epstein told her to leave as she was ruining his massage. I asked her if she had any contact with Epstein's organization. She stated she received $200 from Western Union and Royal Palm Beach and a Coach B Boulevard as a Christmas gift. Wow, so she's there providing the massage multiple times while her boyfriend waits in the car. Interesting. Redacted advised she had no formal training and provided any massages. Redacted also stated she was 16 years old when she first went to Epstein's house. At approximately 4:22 p.m., I made telephone contact with Redacted. At Redacted, she agreed to meet with him at a public place. I suggested she come to the police station for an interview. Redacted did not want to meet at the police station. I recommend we meet at the Palm Beach Gardens Mall in the food court area. She agreed, and an appointment was made for November 15th, 2005 at 5 p.m. at the food court. Investigation continues. Detective Redacted and I searched the pantry room that is west next to the kitchen. This room had all white cabinets with dark gray and black countertop. We did not find anything in this room. We searched the yellow and blue room that is west next to the pantry room. This room had a very large statue of a man with a bow. Taken into evidence from this room were 9 photographs and frames of various women. We searched the main entrance foyer that is to the north of the yellow and blue room. This room contained 2 bamboo chairs and ottomans with cushions. It also contained a round table with numerous books. We searched another blue room that is west of the foyer. This room had a stereo system and bookshelves that were from the floor to the ceiling. Taken into evidence from this room were 8 photographs and frames of various women and or Epstein, the owner of the residence. We searched the room to the west of the blue room that has sliding glass doors that led out to the pool. In this room, in a dresser, were 2 DVDs and 2 VCR tapes. These items were taken into evidence. We searched a 2004 black Chevy Suburban bearing Florida tags registered to Jeffrey Epstein, which was located on the east side of the driveway facing south. I found a thrifty rental agreement between the passenger seat and the middle console. The name on the rental agreement was redacted from Redacted, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. 33410. The phone number on the rental agreement was redacted. The vehicle rented was a redacted bearing Florida tag redacted. The vehicle was rented on September 25th, 2005 at 5:58 and was returned on September 26th, '05 at 4:52. The last four numbers of the credit card used are redacted. Detective Redacted found a piece of paper in the middle console that said, "I used the cash in here to fill up the tank," and was signed by Redacted. I searched the 2005 black Cadillac Escalade ESV bearing Florida tag redacted, registered to Jeffrey Epstein, which was located on the west side of the driveway facing south. I did not find anything in this vehicle. All of the items that were taken into evidence were photographed in the place they were located and then turned over to the crime scene. On November 15, 2005, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Redacted in Royal Palm Beach. We met with Redacted. Let me just read that again. On November 15, 2005, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Redacted in Royal Palm Beach. We met with Redacted, a 17-year-old juvenile who was not in school this day due to a cold from which she was suffering. Redacted was told that I needed to speak with her in reference to an ongoing investigation involving a subject she would know as Jeffrey Epstein. Prior to speaking with her, I explained that because of the fact that she is a minor, I needed to speak with her parents. Prior to speaking with her, she telephoned her father, Mr. Redacted, on his cell phone and explained to him that Detective Redacted and I were there to speak with her. I spoke with Mr. Redacted on the telephone and informed him I needed to speak with his daughter in reference to an ongoing investigation. Mr. Redacted advised he had no problem with us speaking with his daughter. During a sworn taped statement, Redacted stated she met Jeffrey Epstein over a year ago. She was 16 years of age and was approached by Redacted, who informed her that she could make money providing massage to Epstein for $200. Redacted informed her that she would have to provide this massage topless. Redacted made the arrangements with Epstein and his assistants and took Redacted to the house. Redacted stated Redacted, and she entered through a glass door that led into a kitchen. So that would be the back door of the kitchen. This seems where all these girls are entering. Redacted took her upstairs to a master bedroom and master bathroom. She recalled the bathroom had a large pink couch, sauna, and matching shower. Epstein entered into the room wearing only a towel. Redacted and Redacted removed their clothing, remaining only in thong underwear. She further stated that Epstein lay on his removed their clothing, remaining only in a thong underwear. She further stated that Epstein lay on his chest on the table. Epstein selected which oils to use for the massage. Both Redacted and Redacted provided the massage on his legs, back, and feet. 40 minutes into the massage, Epstein turned over onto his back and requested Redacted wait downstairs in the kitchen area for Redacted. So he's got a whole system here. Epstein instructed Redacted to finish the massage. As Redacted got dressed, Redacted started rubbing his chest. Redacted left the room and Epstein began, wetting himself as Redacted rubbed Epstein's chest. Redacted stated he continued, wetting until he climaxed on the table he was wearing. Oh, excuse me, on the towel he was wearing. When asked if he had removed the towel, she stated he turned the towel around so that the opening would allow him to expose himself. After he cleaned himself off with a towel, he instructed Redacted the massage was done and to get dressed and met with him downstairs. Redacted got dressed and met with Epstein in the kitchen area. She was paid $200 for providing the massage. Redacted stated she was aware that Redacted also received money for the same thing. The second time she went to the house, she was again approached by Redacted. Redacted asked if she wanted to return to the house to provide another massage. Redacted agreed, and the arrangements were made by Redacted for her to return to the house. Redacted stated Redacted drove her to the house and knocked on the same glass door that leads to the kitchen area. They were allowed entry into the house by one of the staff members. Once again, needs to be investigated. Redacted led her upstairs to the master bedroom and master bathroom area. Redacted left. Redacted this time to do the massage alone. Epstein entered the room again wearing only a towel. Redacted began removing her clothing as she did the last time she was at the house. Epstein instructed her to get naked. He lay on the table on his stomach as Redacted began massaging his legs and back. As Redacted finished with Epstein's back and legs, Epstein then turned over onto his back. Redacted started to rub his chest and he began wetting himself. As Redacted rubbed his chest, Epstein leaned over and produced a what. Redacted stated she continued to rub his chest as this was occurring. She described the vibrator as large gray with a large head. Epstein redacted, so it doesn't say what he did there. He then redacted and concentrated on, wetting himself. Redacted stated he climaxed onto the towel again and informed her that the massage was done. Redacted got dressed and met with Redacted, who was waiting in the kitchen area. She received $200 for the massage. Redacted said she never returned to the house and had no desire to return to the house. Redacted was asked if she received any formal massage training. She advised she had no formal training. Redacted was asked if Epstein knew her real age. Redacted stated he knew as he asked her questions about herself and high school. He was aware she attended and is still attending. Redacted. The interview was concluded. I suggested Redacted inform her parents of what occurred at the Epstein house. Redacted stated she would tell her father as he was unaware this had occurred. I left my business card for any questions they may have. We left the area and returned to the police station. The tape was placed into evidence. Now, I find it very interesting that he had already spoken to the father. The father agreed to the police interview, but somehow never asked what the interview was going to be about. That's very interesting. Narrative number 22. On November 15th, 2005, Officer Redacted and I responded to the Palm Beach Gardens Mall food court section to meet with Redacted at approximately 5:10 p.m. Redacted arrived and met with us at the food court. Unless these are two different interviews, Redacted provided a sworn taped statement in which she stated she had been at the Epstein house over 50 times. So 50 times 200, you do the math. She began going to Epstein's house when she turned 18 years old. Okay, so she's actually of age, or at least she's saying that. Redacted was asked if she knew of the ongoing investigation. Redacted stated she was aware that there was an investigation and she had been told by other girls that were interviewed. Additionally, she has had several telephone conversations with Epstein's assistants as to what had been going on during the investigation. So clearly, his assistants not only were facilitating the abuse, but they're also trying to mitigate the investigation. There's clear evidence of it right here. I asked Redacted how she was introduced to Epstein. Redacted stated she did not want to disclose who brought her to the house, but she would respond to any other questions. So here she is trying to protect those involved, clearly by not wanting to implicate anybody that she had contact with. When I asked her what happened at the house, Redacted stated everything happened. It all began with the massages. Each time she went, more things happened. She would massage Epstein, and he would, you know what, in climax. She stated things escalated from there. She redacted. She stated redacted. He introduced his assistant, redacted, or redacted to redacted. With redacted, she stated redacted or redacted would. So there's a lot of activity being explained here that's redacted. She was told to redact it as Epstein and redacted had intercourse. All this was done at Epstein's direction. Redacted could not provide exact dates as she had been to the house so many times. Redacted stated Epstein inserted redacted. When I asked her if there had been any intercourse with Epstein, she stated she did not have, you know what, with him. She did admit having redacted his assistant. Redacted stated not every time she went involved favors. Sometimes she would just talk with him and get paid. Asked her how much she was paid each time she went to Epstein's residence. Redacted stated she got paid $300 every time she went to the house. She was told to bring other girls to him to provide massage. Redacted declined, stating that she does what she does and did not want to introduce anyone else to what she does. Redacted stated she had never received any formal training in providing massages. I showed Redacted a photo lineup in which Redacted was placed in position 6. She reviewed the 6 photographs and immediately identified Redacted as the person with whom she had you know what. Additionally, it was the same person she watched have Redacted with Epstein. She signed the photo lineup under Redacted's photo as the person she identified. We then left the mall and returned to the police station. The photo lineup and tape were placed into evidence. So I'm assuming from what we've read before that hasn't been redacted, the only person that came up that was working for Epstein was the assistant. So it's safe to say that most likely the person that she was doing whatever with that later did that with Epstein is the assistant, and it's most likely a female assistant. On November 17th, 2005, I received a phone message from attorney Guy Fronston, who advised to call his cellular phone reference his client Jeffrey Epstein. I telephoned his cell phone and left a message for him to return my call. I did not receive a call back on Thursday, November 17th, 2005. So it seems like they're keeping contact to make it look like they're compliant, but they're still stalling out at the same time. On Friday, November 18th, 2005, I retrieved another voicemail from my work from Mr. Fronston advising he would not produce his client Jeffrey Epstein for any statement. Fronston stated he had spoken with ASA Lana Belolovic and expressed Mr. Epstein has a passion for massages. I called ASA Lana Belholovic and confirmed that Fronston had telephoned her reference to this case, I'm assuming that's supposed to say. Although nothing was discussed, Mr. Fronston did advise her that Epstein is very passionate about massages. I also spoke with ASA Delilah Weiss, reference redacted and redacted. She advised that they had been served through a subpoena process server. They were both scheduled to appear on Monday, November 21st, 2005 at 12 p.m. On November 21st, 2005, I met with ASA Weiss, attorney redacted and redacted, at the state attorney's office. ASA Weiss had requested a court reporter to be present to take the statement of the redacted. I spoke with redacted in the presence of her attorney. Redacted, she advised she had worked for Epstein for 8 years from the period of 1994 through 2002. She advised she had never had any direct conversations with him. She stated it was her husband who spoke directly with Epstein. Her work consisted of doing house cleaning, shopping, and other preparations when Epstein would arrive in town. Redacted stated the preparations consisted of preparing the house and bathrooms for his arrival. She advised she did view several masseuses that arrived at the house. She advised that 2 or 3 girls would come during a day and provide the massages. The girls that arrived looked young in age. Now, it's funny that she's calling them masseuses, but you saw in the interviews, every last one of them testified that they had no massage training whatsoever. So they weren't masseuses. These were young girls giving massages. Mrs. Redacted did not know any of the girls personally and they were always different. She was told that when Epstein was in residence, he did not want to encounter the Redacted during his stay in Palm Beach. I then spoke with Mr. Redacted in the presence of his attorney. Redacted, Mr. Redacted stated that he was employed for 11 years with Mr. Epstein. He originally was hired as a part-time employee and then moved up into a full-time position. His duties included everything. Redacted stated he was the house manager, driver, and house maintenance person. It was his responsibility to prepare the house for Epstein's arrival. When asked about cooks or assistants, Redacted stated they traveled with Epstein on his private plane. He remembered dealing with his girlfriend, Miss Maxwell, originally, and then dealt with Epstein directly. Asked Mr. Redacted about massages that occurred within the home. Mr. Redacted stated Mr. Epstein had up to 3 massages a day, so everyone knew this. This was common knowledge. Each masseuse that visited the house was different. Redacted stated that towards the end of his employment, the masseuses were younger and younger. When asked how young, Mr. Redacted stated they appeared to be 16 or 17 years of age at the most. So why wouldn't you ask any questions about this? The reason they weren't asking questions is because they were getting paid and they weren't concerned. The massages would occur in Epstein's bedroom or bathroom. There were times he recalled that he would set up the massage tables either in Epstein's bedroom or in his bathroom. Asked if there were things going on other than a massage, Redacted stated that there were times towards the end of his employment that he would have to wash off a massager slash vibrator and a long rubber you know what, which were in the sink after the massage. So put two and two together. You've got young girls going up to give these quote unquote massages. You're setting up the massage table and you're cleaning up toys. Like, this is clearly people turning a blind eye. Additionally, he stated the bed would almost always have to be made after the massage. Once again, more incriminating evidence. Redacted was never privy to what went on during the massages. He was asked if he remembered any names of the girls that massaged Epstein. He tried to remember and was unable to provide any exact names of any girls. I bet he couldn't remember. Redacted was asked about any contact with anyone from the Epstein organization. Redacted said he did speak with Mr. Epstein shortly after my initial contact with him to find out what was going on. So it clearly shows he did notice that there was something going on and that there were questions to be asked. Redacted also stated that approximately on November 11, 2005, he was contacted by a private investigator from the law office of Roy Black. The investigator had called him to meet with him to ascertain what he was going to tell the police. Redacted stated they met at the Carrabba's restaurant in Boynton Beach and discussed the same questions I was asking him. I informed Mr. Redacted and Mr. Redacted that as this is an ongoing investigation and anything we discuss should be confidential. They both acknowledged the fact that the information would be kept confidential. It should be noted that a court reporter was present during the interviews and would be providing a copy of the statements to me when they become available. In my opinion, all these people need to be in prison. On November 21st, 2005, I received a voicemail from Mr. Fronston, who advised he would not be making Mr. Epstein available for any statements. He did have some words that he wanted to relay on behalf of Mr. Epstein. I telephoned his office and left him a message for him to return my call. On November 29, 2005, I received a call back from Mr. Fronston, who left a voicemail after hours on November 28, 2005, advising he would return my call during normal business hours to speak with me in reference to the case on in reference with me reference the case on November 29, 2005. Narrative number 24. On November 29, 2005, at approximately 2:30 p.m., I received a telephone call on the department-issued cell phone. Mr. Fronston stated he was calling to relay information that Mr. Epstein wished he could relay. Mr. Fronston stated that he would not allow Mr. Epstein to speak with me at this time. He further stated that Mr. Epstein is very passionate about massages. He continued that Mr. Epstein had allegedly donated over $100,000 to the Ballet of Florida for massages. The massages are therapeutic and spiritually sound for him. That is why he has had so many. This is why he has had many massages. Mr. Franson stated he appreciated the way the investigation has not been leaked out into the media. I explained to Mr. Franson that it is important to protect the innocent if the allegations are not substantiated. Mr. Franson was told of the allegations that the private investigators assigned to the case had been portraying themselves as police officers. Additionally, I explained that my cell phone had been called by the private investigators. Mr. Franson advised he was not aware of that and advised they were under the direction of attorney Roy Black in Miami. Mr. Fronston further stated Epstein had originally called Mr. Dershowitz in Boston, who recommended Roy Black in Miami, who asked Mr. Fronston to assist. I informed him that if and when any charges would be presented, I would notify him. The call was then terminated. Investigation continues. A review of the telephone message books which were obtained during the search warrant was conducted, in which various messages from different dates were made to Jeffrey Epstein. The telephone message books have a duplicate copy, carbon copy, which once a phone message is written into the book, the top copy is then torn on the perforated edge and the carbon copy is left in the book. First names of girls, dates, and telephone numbers were on the copy of the messages. I recognized various numbers and names of girls that had already been interviewed. The body of the messages was time of the day that they were interviewed. Excuse me, was time of the day that they were called for confirmation of quote unquote work. Other names and telephone numbers were located in which the body of the messages were I have girls for him or I have two girls for him. These messages were taken by redacted for Jeffrey Epstein. Once again, this person should be in jail. Based on the context of the body of the messages, I requested subpoenas for subscriber information on the telephone numbers and the time frames involved. Copies of the messages were made for evidentiary purposes. I obtained redacted yearbooks for 2005, 2004, and 2003. First reviewed the 2005 yearbook and located most of the girls I had spoken with. Now, that's pretty sick that this guy has copies of the high school yearbooks and he's just selecting these girls to be a predator. Additionally, I located Redacted. Based on the corrected name spelling, I was able to locate her to her residence in Loxahatchee on December 8, 2005. Detective Redacted and I responded to Redacted in Loxahatchee. I located Redacted at her home. She advised she is attending Redacted and is participating in the Redacted so she can maintain her part-time job. As she still is a minor, I left my business card to have her mother return my call to request an interview with her daughter. We then left the area. I also had previously researched the telephone number for Redacted and telephone number Redacted. A subpoena had been issued for the information on Redacted. A query of Redacted revealed that she is the daughter of Redacted and is currently residing at Redacted in West Palm Beach. Detective Redacted and I attempted contact with Redacted with negative results. I left my business card on her front door requesting she return my call. We then responded to Redacted in West Palm Beach. I also attempted contact with Mr. Redacted with negative results. I left my business card for him to return my call. On December 9th, 2005, I received a telephone call from Redacted's mother, who was made aware of the ongoing investigation in Palm Beach. Redacted advised she was told of everything that occurred at Epstein's house involving Epstein and his staff. She advised she would allow me to question her daughter about what occurred and would cooperate with the investigation. Redacted provided me with Redacted's cellular telephone number to schedule an appointment for an official interview. I telephoned her cellular telephone and made a tentative appointment for Monday, December 12th, 2005. I then received a telephone call from Redacted's father of Redacted, who stated he found the business card on his door. I explained that I was conducting an investigation and needed to speak with Redacted, as she may have information that could assist in the investigation. Mr. Redacted stated that his daughter no longer resides with him and has her own trailer in another trailer park. He advised he would tell her to call me. On December 12, 2005, due to a conflict with schedules, arrangements were made to meet with Redacted on Tuesday, December 13th, 2005 at 5 p.m. On December 13th, 2005, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Luxahatchee and met with Redacted. During a sworn taped statement, Redacted stated that when she was 16 years old, she was taken to Epstein's house to provide a massage for money. Redacted stated it was before Christmas last year when Redacted approached her and asked if she needed to make money for Christmas. Redacted stated she did and agreed to provide a massage for money. Redacted made arrangements to take Redacted to the house and drove Redacted to the house to quote unquote work. Redacted stated she could not remember the street name but would be able to drive to the street. They drove to the last house on the street and pulled in the last house on the left side. They walked up the driveway and entered through a side gate which led to a kitchen door. They knocked on the door and were encountered by an employee who Redacted described as a redacted looking lady. They informed her that they were expected. They were then encountered by a white female with long redacted hair. Now, this is just a color. I don't know why that would need to be redacted. I think this is redaction fatigue again. Redacted was unable to remember the name of the white female with redacted hair, but knew she was Epstein's assistant. You can see, I think this is an H. I don't know what color that would be. She was led upstairs by the white female who explained that there would be lotions out already, and Epstein would choose the lotion he wanted her to use. She was led through a spiral staircase which led to a master bedroom and bathroom. The massage table was already set up in the bathroom. Redacted described the bathroom as a large, spacious bathroom with a steam room and shower beside it, with a sink to the right. Redacted was introduced to Jeff, who was on the phone when she entered. Jeff was wearing a white towel and lay on his stomach so that Redacted may massage his feet and calves. Redacted started the massage with the massage oil Jeff chose and rubbed his feet and calves. Jeff got off the phone and requested she massage his back as well. Redacted began rubbing his back and got to the small of his back. During the rubbing of his back, Jeff asked her to get comfortable. He requested she remove her pants and shirt. Redacted removed her shirt and pulled her pants off. Redacted stayed in her bra and thong panties. As she finished the small of the back, Jeff then turned onto his back. He instructed she redacted. As she began to rub his chest, Jeff asked her questions about herself. Redacted remembered telling him she attended Redacted. Jeff asked her if she was active. Before Redacted could answer, he also asked what positions does she enjoy. Redacted stated she was shy, didn't like talking about those things. She continued rubbing his chest. Epstein reached up and redacted from the front. Redacted explained the redacted. Epstein, redacted, said, "No, I don't like that." Epstein then removed his towel and lay on the bed naked, exposing his you know what to redacted. He began touching his redacted and you know what as he redacted. Redacted explained. Jeff then redacted, tensed up, and stated Jeff was aware that she was uncomfortable. Redacted stated that Jeff told her, "Relax, I'm not going." Redacted. She further explained Jeff commented to her how beautiful and you know what she was. Jeff then redacted. Redacted said Jeff commented how redacted. He then redacted. She tried pulling back to redacted. Jeff redacted. During this time, he kept his redacted. Stated he redacted. Redacted said he, you know what, it on the towel he had been previously wearing, and got up from the table. Jeff told her there was $200 for her on that dresser within the master bathroom. Jeff also told her that there was an additional $100 that was to be given to Redacted for bringing her there to massage him. Jeff told her to leave her telephone number with his assistant as he wanted to see her again. Jeff stated his assistant would contact her to work again soon. Asked her if she ever received any formal massage training, to which Redacted stated she did not. Redacted stated it was the only time she ever went to work for Jeff and knew what happened to her was wrong. She stated she no longer speaks to Redacted because she was upset that Redacted took her there. She further stated that she had never been contacted for any additional work. The interview was terminated and Lee left the area. On October 20th, 2005, at approximately 9:30, hours, I assisted with the execution of a search warrant at 358 El Brio Avenue, Palm Beach, Jeffrey's house. Initially, I was assigned to enter. We should look up this address because we haven't seen this house yet. Just to switch it up, I know we've been reading a lot of files. We haven't really been able to use our Google search for any facial recognition. So apparently, this is the property, El Brio Way, 358 here. I wonder if this is the house. I don't really see any numbers. This is definitely the street. I mean, it looks pretty secluded by the palm trees, and it's a side street. So I guess if you don't have neighbors that pay close attention, people would be able to come in and out of here probably undetected, which is why he probably felt comfortable using this address. Initially, I was assigned to enter the residence and conduct a sweep of the premises for safety purposes. I then accompanied CSEU Tech Redacted while she photographed the exterior of the house. Once this was complete, I was assigned to search certain areas of the house with Detective Redacted as part of the search warrant. We began in the garage, searching three Mercedes-Benz vehicles, a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and adjacent closets in the garage. Nothing of evidentiary value was located. We then searched two closets off the kitchen area on the east side. These can best be described as pantry or storage closets. Nothing of evidentiary value was obtained. A small office with adjoining bath was then searched. In the bath area, I located a phone message book with recent messages. This item was seized as evidence. Please note this bath and shower area are not used as designed, but are storage areas containing a variety of items to include a gun safe in the shower and assorted household items. We then searched a bath area and closet at the base of the main stairs in the foyer. Inside the closet, two massage tables were located as well as partial nude female photographs. These items were later seized as evidence. Nothing of evidentiary value was noted in the bathroom. We then searched two bedrooms upstairs on the east side of the residence. Located in the bathroom, the south bedroom was you know what shaped soap. Located in the bedroom of the northern bedroom was you know what and you know what shaped soap, as well as an adult toy. These items were seized as evidence. We then searched the pool cabana located in the southwest corner of the property. Several photographs of nude females were seized as evidence. I was then assigned to stand by with the person I believe was redacted. Mr. Redacted was in the residence at the beginning of the search warrant. He was present during the warrant service and subsequent search. I stood by with him until the search was completed and I departed the residence. I had no conversation with him regarding the reason for our presence. Regarding seized evidence, all items were photographed in place and then collected by CSEU personnel. This concludes my involvement in this case. So this person has finished their report, and as you can see, there's always people in the residence, and they had to be secured, obviously, so they don't, one, hinder the investigation, and two, go back and tell what was seized. I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee there. All right, on Thursday, October 20th, 2005, at approximately 9:36 hours, I assisted in the execution of a search warrant located at Redacted, Palm Beach, Florida residence of Jeffrey Epstein. I was instructed by Case Agent Redacted to secure all computer and media related materials from the residence. Upon my arrival, I was directed by Detective Redacted to a room designated as the kitchen staff office. I observed a silver in color CPU with the left side cover removed, exposing the CPU's hardware sitting on floor next to a glass type desk. The CPU had no discernible identifiers or features indicating a make or model. The CPU was powered off with the power cord not plugged in. The keyboard and mouse were atop the CPU. It should be noted that the CPU was not connected to a monitor, printer, or other media device. On the back panel of the CPU, I observed an AV card with RCA jacks attached. This type of hardware will allow audio and video to be downloaded onto the CPU's hard disk. The ends of the RCA jacks were unattached at the time of the search, and no external camera was located within this room. The CPU was located on the right side of a desk that held a flat panel LCD screen. The desk also held another keyboard and mouse indicative of a second computer. However, no other computer was found. It appeared as though a second computer had been recently removed, as the cable ends from the monitor, keyboard, and mouse were in the same area. Further search of the room revealed no media storage devices, example CDs, floppy disks, zip disks, etc. This type of media is commonly stored in an area where computers are placed, yet no media was found. After completing a search of this room, I secured the CPU and turned all items over to the evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via a property receipt. I was then directed by Detective Redacted to a room designated as the garden room, where I observed a wooden desk facing west. The desk held a flat screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, media card, reader, and printer. However, no CPU was located. All of the cables were removed from an area where a computer had once been. A search of the desk area revealed no signs of any media devices. Detective Redacted directed me to a third location designated as the cabana room, which is detached from the residence and located just south of the pool. In the southeast corner of the room, I observed an office type setting with an L shaped desk holding a flat screen LCD monitor, keyboard, mouse, and printer. However, no CPU was located. All of the cables were removed from an area where a computer had once been. A search of the desk area revealed no signs of any media devices. Detective Redacted directed me to a second detached structure on the southeast corner of the property. This area of this structure was assigned with single letters to identify a particular part of the room. In the office area designated as Room B, I observed a powered on Dell Dimensions 2350 attached to an LCD flat panel monitor. The screen displayed an open Microsoft Internet Explorer browser with URL addressed to bellsouth.net. I observed no other active windows in the start panel window and photographed screen. The power cord was removed from the back of the Dell CPU and I disconnected the cable modem to prevent remote access. At that time, the Dell CPU marked with serial number redacted was secured and turned over the evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via property receipt. I also located several media related items within Room B, which were recorded onto a property receipt and turned over the evidence custodians. I then responded to a bedroom designated as Room F, where I observed a white and color CPU marked Premio. The Premio CPU was in a computer desk which held a white CRT monitor, both of which were powered on. The CRT monitor displayed a message from Norton Antivirus software warning of an expired subscription. I observed no other active windows in the start panel window and photograph screen. I removed the power cable from the back of the Premio CPU and shut down all other media. The Premio CPU, marked with serial number redacted, was secured and turned over the evidence custodian for future forensic analysis via property receipt. I also located several media related items within Room F, which were recorded onto a property receipt and turned over the evidence custodians. I'm assuming that's supposed to say turned over to the evidence custodians. This concluded my participation in the search of the residence. We're 20% through this episode. On December 20th, 2005, Redaction, who resides in Miami, had eluded the process servers previously and was not served the investigative subpoena. Telephone message was left that she is not available during the week of December 19th, 2005. I made contact with state attorney redacted and requested the same via telephone message. I then researched the victim's cellular telephone subpoena data, which had been received from a previous subpoena request. I analyzed the records, which depicted several calls from redacted. Now, this person shouldn't be redacted. The telephone call started on February 6, 2005 at 12:49 p.m., same day which the victim and the victim's father stated the incident occurred at Epstein's house. The first incoming call was from Redacted's residence at Redacted, the second incoming call from Redacted. Cellular phone redacted occurred at 1:02 p.m. The call durations were 1 minute or less. The time frame was within 13 minutes apart. Should be noted that Redacted's residence was in close proximity to the victim's. The next call occurred at 5:50 p.m. when the victim telephoned Redacted's residence. Several calls were made after the above mentioned calls, both incoming and outgoing to Redacted. Further analysis showed no telephone calls to either Redacted's cellular telephone or Redacted's residence were registered prior to February 6, 2005. Additionally, I also conducted an analysis on the telephone calls from Redacted. The subscriber information confirmed that the number is registered to Redacted from Hialeah, Florida. The address was cross-referenced to the Office of Corrali and Riley Private Investigators. I researched the web page, which also showed various cases in which they assisted. I also located another website under Coral Springs, Sparkle, and Rotary.org in which Mr. Riley attended a Miami Rotary meeting and confirmed attorney Roy Black is among his clientele. Telephone calls revealed Redacted had telephone contact with Redacted and Redacted either just after I attempted to interview them or just prior. A background was conducted on Redacted, which reveals he holds a current private investigator license. A redacted. I also researched the girls using MySpace. This website is a new social networking service that allows members to create unique personal profiles online in order to find and communicate with old and new friends. The site allows one to establish your own MySpace.com page, decorate the page any way one wishes. I found the following people have MySpace sites, names all the people. I received a redacted packet which contained a CD which contained the results of the subpoena request for verbatim calls on redacted. An analysis will be conducted in the near future on the phone numbers called. Investigation continues. Upon doing research on the message books recovered in the search warrant, I located the identity of redacted. The telephone number of redacted was registered to redacted. She currently is 17 years old and is attending the redacted. I responded to redacted, also known as the redacted. I located the redacted. I located redacted inside the redacted and informed her that I was investigating a case against Jeffrey Epstein and knew she had been at the house. Redacted started to cry and advised she had put that part of her life behind her. I explained that although she is 17 years old, I need to inform her parents that she would be interviewed. She provided her home telephone number. I attempted contact and left voicemail messages at the house to speak with her parents. Detective Redacted and I then located Redacted at her residence, located at Redacted in West Palm Beach. I attempted to interview her about Jeffrey Epstein. She advised she is so in love with Jeff Epstein and would do anything for him. She further explained that she would not speak to us about him, either negative or positive. She asked us to leave her property. I informed her that although she did not wish to speak with us, sufficient information at this point in the investigation to know she was at Epstein's house and provided girls to Epstein to work. I also explained that prior to our arrival at her residence, I had telephone contact with her father, Redacted, who was told she would be interviewed. Redacted is currently 17 years old, and as a juvenile, parental notification would be required. We then left the area and returned to the police station. While at the police station, I left another telephone message for Redacted's parents. I began an analysis of Redacted cellular telephone. Telephone number redacted is assigned to redacted, and the financially responsible party is Jeffrey Epstein of 457 Madison Avenue. So she had her own phone that was sponsored by Jeffrey in New York City, New York. The time frame which was subpoenaed was September 2005 through October 2005. There were 87 pages of calls made either to the cell phone or from the cell phone. The local numbers were analyzed. A spreadsheet was prepared and placed into the attachment file of who was called. The unknown numbers were researched using phonefinder.com, and subpoenas were requested to determine subscriber information. This was done to identify additional victims or witnesses. The analysis revealed that Redacted had called the victim witness frequently when Epstein was in the town of Palm Beach to work. This confirms what the girls interviewed had previously stated. Redacted would notify them when Epstein was in town and their willingness to work. The CD was placed in evidence. Investigation continues. On December 29, 2005, I received a facsimile from National Compliance Center from Singular Wireless for telephone number redacted. This was the telephone number for redacted during the time frame when the victim, redacted, was brought to the Epstein house to work. An analysis of the phone records of all incoming and outgoing calls showed that on February 6, 2005, the day the victim, Redacted, was brought to the house, Redacted first called Redacted, Epstein's assistant at Redacted, at 12:50 p.m. Eastern Time. The next call was made to Epstein's house in Palm Beach at 12:52 Eastern Time. The following call was made to the victim, Redacted, at 1:01 p.m. Eastern Time and at 1:02 p.m. Eastern Time. This confirms the information provided by the victim and victim's father. I photocopied the records and enlarged the page 8 of 10 to show the calls made by Redacted on February 6, 2005. To this date, I have not heard from Redacted's parents. I will attempt to establish contact with them during the evening hours. Now, this kind of makes sense because even though I'm assuming that this girl that was working for Epstein was probably a victim, her parents probably had the sense to know that she was a facilitator, and any involvement that their daughter had as far as the investigation and the interview would only lead to her own incrimination. So they were probably trying to protect their daughter. I received a package from attorney Guy Frunston, which was hand delivered at the police station. Within the package was a letter from Alan Dershowitz and two MySpace profiles. The profiles were that of Redacted and Redacted. MySpace is a social network service that allows members to create unique personal profiles online in order to find and communicate with old and new friends. This package was in response to a previous meeting in which Mr. Dershowitz called to assist in the investigation and providing any additional witnesses, such as House employees who have been reluctant to speak with law enforcement. I reviewed the profiles Mr. Dershowitz enclosed. Redacted, who designed her blog to be redacted, still attends Redacted, sends and receives messages from friends which contain some profanity. Upon reviewing her friends' comments section from MySpace, most of her good friends sent messages to establish contact and invite her to go out. I then reviewed Redacted web blog, which was provided by Mr. Dershowitz. Miss Redacted designed her blog to be redacted. Her blog stated that her interests include music, theater, and weed. I reviewed her packet in which Redacted declares her love for her live-in boyfriend. She also described using marijuana with her boyfriend Redacted. The letter Mr. Dershowitz sent advised he was looking into the allegation that one of the private investigators used by the private attorneys of Epstein attempted to impersonate or state that they were police officers from Palm Beach. So it looks like Epstein was doing his own investigation, posing as the investigators, trying to figure out what information the girls would disclose. That should have been a charge as well, which I'm sure he would have been charged with had he lived, for impersonating law enforcement. So that's one thing to make note of. Mr. Dershowitz advised that the investigators used to interview Redacted had quite a distinct speech impediment, did not claim to be, nor did they impersonate themselves as police officers. This package was sent to both ASA Lana Belhalovic and ASA Delilah Weiss at the state attorney's office. I made telephone contact with ASA Weiss to confirm she received the package and request an interview with Redacted and Redacted. She advised she would assist in attempting to contact Mr. Dershowitz. January 3rd, 2006, I received a telephone call from ASA Weiss who informed me that she made telephone contact with Mr. Dershowitz. She had requested the employees be available the week of January 3rd, 2006. Mr. Dershowitz informed her that the assistants are out of the country and would require additional time to locate them and make them available. I bet they would. So basically, all the help, all the witnesses that were at the house are out of the country. And I'm sure they got clued that they were going to do an investigation, and I'm sure Epstein's people urged them to not be in the country. If they're not in the country, they can't be interviewed. I'm sure they were handsomely paid and they wouldn't be coming back. Narrative number 31. On Thursday, March 31st, 2005, I started conducting surveillance at 358 El Brio. At this point, I observed at 11:55 hours a redacted bearing Florida tag redacted and roadway redacted, Florida tag redacted and drive redacted, bearing Florida tag redacted and roadway, black Chevy Suburban in driveway, and a black Cadillac Escalade in driveway. At 13:25 hours, I observed redacted in roadway black Chevy Suburban. Okay, so these are the cars that are in Jeffrey's driveway, and this surveillance team is basically saying the cars haven't moved. At 1:25, cars haven't moved. 4:15, cars haven't moved. Saying the exact same cars, the Chevy, the Escalade in the roadway. The next day, this was Thursday, Friday, April 1st, continued surveillance. This is in 2005 at Epstein's house. At 11:30, he observes the vehicles, no movement, they're all on the roadway. 12:27, observes the same vehicle, still on the roadway. 1:45, same vehicles in the roadway. On Saturday, this is 3 days that he's been observing these vehicles. Continued surveillance at Epstein's house. Vehicles in the driveway at 7:13, 8:14, vehicle still in the driveway, 9:52, still in the driveway, and it says in driveway redacted in roadway, and also a gray unknown make model with a BM in trunk retrieving landscaping tools. So these are workers. At 11:55 hours, I observed a redacted bearing Florida tag redacted parking in the roadway, so somebody else drove in front of Epstein's house. It was a white female, redacted hair, teens to early 20s, thin and tall, wearing a white tank top and short blue jean shorts, exited the vehicle and walked to the rear of the house. I also observed a redacted in the roadway, so these are the other vehicles that were in the roadway. At 1:10 hours, I observed a redacted white female driver leaving the area, redacted roadway, and a redacted bearing Florida tag redacted. Then I observed three white females, approximately 16 to 18 years of age, jogging. So this is basically anybody in the area, but someone did go to the rear of the house, which is where the girls entered to give the massages. All three females ran into the driveway. Okay, so maybe they were jogging to the driveway. There were two with redacted hair and one redacted hair. So basically, at this point, I'm sure they've been reaching out to Epstein and he's not responding, obviously, because he's aware there's an investigation. So now teenage girls are showing up at the house, which is also incriminating Epstein during the surveillance. Why? Because they probably want to get paid. On Sunday, April 3rd, 2005, he continues the surveillance. Same vehicles in the driveway parked. At 10:57, observed only the redacted. On Tuesday, continued surveillance at Epstein's house. Vehicles are still sitting there. 10:59. Let me see. Redacted drove to the house of Epstein and parked in the driveway. At 11:19 hours, I observed the redacted leave the area in the drive. It was the pool man. So these are maintenance workers. So we've got three underage girls that showed up at the house, ran up to the rear door where they would be ushered into the house normally, and then there's some maintenance people. At 11:26 hours, I observed a gray unknown make model car park in the roadway. White male got out of the car and walked to a house on the south side of the road. So it looks like somebody just parked in his driveway and went to another house. It could have been one of Epstein's people trying to see what's going on, just to see if the house is being surveilled and pretending to go to another residence. At 2:06, I observed a redacted parked on the roadway and a large white box truck parked behind the surveillance Suburban. So this could just be like street traffic if they parked behind the surveillance vehicle. If anything, that just shows how well hidden the surveillance vehicle was. So they're actually doing a good job on that. On March 31st of 2005, vehicles still parked in the driveway. At 5 o'clock, vehicles are still parked in the driveway. At 8 o'clock, vehicles are still parked in the driveway. On Friday, April 1st, 2005, at 5 o'clock, I observed the black Escalade, so they're still in the driveway in the same place. All these vehicles are still parked. Here's Saturday. So this went on for a couple days here. I think it started, on the 31st? And here we are in April. It's the 2nd. Same vehicles, in the same position. And at 7:20 hours, the Escalade and Redacted were the only vehicles, and both were in the same position. At 8:30, there were no vehicles observed, so there were no vehicles coming in and out. At 11:15, observed the vehicles, same spot. Then you've got 11 o'clock, same spot, 11:50, and at 12:45 a.m., vehicles still in the same spot. Made contact with Mr. Redacted's father of Redacted, who was told that I wished to interview his daughter. Mr. Redacted stated he was aware and had spoken with his daughter about the incident. He stated that his daughter had previously told him that she was hired to model lingerie at a Palm Beach mansion. Mr. Redacted stated he knew nothing else about what she did when she went to work, quote unquote work. So if this girl is under the age of 18 and you're the father of this child and your child comes to tell you that they've been hired to model lingerie at a Palm Beach mansion, one, I don't think you would be okay with that. And two, even if you were, your kid was some aspiring model or, wanted to do Miss USA or something like that, you'd think you would at least drive down there or have a parent with them to ensure that everything's on the up and up. Clearly, he didn't do that. Mr. Redacted advised he would cooperate with the investigation and make his daughter available for interviews. I asked if she was available for an interview. Redacted stated she was not at home at the moment. I informed him I would make contact with her at a later time. Mr. Redacted expressed his interest in the resolution in this matter, as he stated this information has affected his daughter emotionally. I bet it has. On January 4th, 2005, I acquired the subpoenas from the State Attorney's Office for Singular Wireless, Metro PCS, Verizon, Bell South, telecommunications, and Sprint for the redacted from cellular telephones. And this is why we had 3 to 4 episodes of just cell phone records. As you can see, it was requested for the investigation. The subpoenas were sent to their respective telephone carriers for subscriber information. I received a telephone call from State Attorney's Office who informed me that the former houseman for Jeffrey Epstein, Redacted, was present at the State Attorney's Office for an interview. Redacted was issued an investigative subpoena. Redacted, I responded to the state's attorney office and encountered Mr. Redacted waiting in the lobby. I brought Mr. Redacted to the interview room. During a sworn tape statement, Mr. Redacted stated he was employed by Jeffrey Epstein for approximately 6 months. He was referred by associates, and his employment lasted the months of November 2004 through May 2005. His responsibilities as house manager included being the butler, chauffeur, chef, houseman, run errands for Mr. Epstein, and provide for Epstein's guests. Redacted advised he had very limited contact with Mr. Epstein. If Redacted needed to relay a message to Mr. Epstein, he would have to notify Epstein's secretary, Redacted, in New York City, who would then notify Epstein's personal assistant, Redacted, who would relay the message to Epstein. Redacted stated Epstein did not want to see or hear the staff when he was in residence. I asked Redacted if Epstein received many guests during his stay in Palm Beach. Redacted advised he had many guests. I asked specifically about masseuses coming to the house. Redacted stated he would have 2 massages a day. So this is just common knowledge for all of the staff. Epstein would have 1 massage in the morning and 1 in the afternoon every day he was in residence. Redacted stated he would be informed to expect someone and make them comfortable until either Redacted or Epstein would meet with them. Redacted stated once the masseuses would arrive, he would allow them entry into the kitchen and offer them something to eat or drink. So this is the person that was bringing the food and watching these girls go upstairs and just basically keeping everybody else relaxed while he knew what was going on. So this person, I'm glad he got interviewed. Hopefully he's in prison. They would then be encountered by either Redacted or Epstein. They would be taken upstairs to provide the massage. Asked Redacted if any of the masseuses appeared young in age. He advised he didn't ask their ages but felt they were very young. Well, how observant. Redacted stated they ate like his own daughter who was in high school. That's just sickening. So he obviously knew roughly the ages of these girls because he had a child that was of similar age, but he's aiding at this point. Redacted stated they would eat tons of cereal and drink milk all the time. Redacted stated the girls that would come appeared to be too young to be masseuses. He stated one time under Epstein's direction, he delivered a dozen roses to Redacted for one of the girls that came to provide a massage. So even if you were delusional, if you can't put the pieces together at that point, I don't know what to tell you. He knew the girls were still in high school and were of high school age. I asked Redacted about the massages. He felt there was a lot more going on than just massages, yet he facilitated. He would clean Mr. Epstein's bedroom after the alleged massages and would discover you know what's and you know what's scattered on the floor. He also said he would wipe down the you know what's and you know what's and put them away in an armoire. He described the armoire as a small wood armoire which was on the wall close to Epstein's bed. Epstein ordered Redacted to go to the Redacted and rent a car for the same girl he brought the roses to so that she could drive herself to Epstein's house without incident. Redacted said the girl always needed rides to and from the house. Redacted referred to himself as a human ATM machine and was ordered by Epstein to maintain a minimum balance of $2,000 on him at all times. So at this point, he has this guy paying for Epstein's practices, which makes him even more guilty because at this point, he is basically facilitating, he's getting cars, he's getting roses, he's paying. That's guilty, 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 guilty. When a girl would come by the house and Mr. Epstein was either not in residence or was not at home at the time, Redacted was to provide the girl masseuse several $100s for their time and to notify Epstein the amount they were given. Epstein also ordered Redacted to purchase several gifts and provide them as tips to the girls. I asked what kind of gifts. Redacted stated he purchased iPods, jewelry, anything the girls would want. Redacted stated the amount of girls that came to the house was approximately 15. Each of the girls knew each other and all seemed to know at Redacted who Mr. Epstein was. When asked to identify these girls, Rodriguez, okay, so here we go. This is what we're talking about. This is the redaction fatigue. So now we have the name of the individual that was helping facilitate all of this that was going on. Mr. Rodriguez stated he could not at the moment, but knew he wrote their names down on a journal he kept during his employment with Mr. Epstein. And these are the gems we're looking for. In a file this big, 3 million plus files, To think that, especially with human error, that they would not mess up a redaction was highly likely. And as you can see, he just released the name. But to be perfectly honest, and I've been saying this through this entire investigation, Mr. Rodriguez's name should have never been redacted in the first place because he's a perpetrator. He's not a victim. He kept a journal in the event he needed to explain either to Mr. Epstein or his assistants what was done at the house or who visited the house. As he stated, he was in charge of Mr. Epstein's personal security while in Palm Beach. I informed him I would need to view this journal, to which he stated he would research the book and contact me to provide the book. I would be very surprised if this book actually produced itself because he's saying he needs to review the book, probably to see if there's anything that incriminates himself. But as you can see, he's already incriminated. He should have been taken into custody at that point. The interview was concluded and he left the area. I returned back to the police station where the microcassette was placed in the evidence. At approximately 7:20 p.m., I was notified Redacted located the journal. Well, I'm really surprised, and would call me on January 5th, 2005 to provide the journal. Now, what makes this investigator think that this journal would not have been compromised at this point? If he was a good detective, he would have accompanied this individual back to where the journal was to recover it to make sure it wasn't tampered with. On January 5th, 2006, I attempted to meet with Redacted to recover the folder or journal in which he kept the notes that were given to him during his employment with Mr. Epstein. He kept this folder to justify what he did during his employment, should the need arise to justify what occurred with the monies he had to keep, or any questions as to the petty cash he withdrew from the household account from the bank. Well, more importantly, he was basically keeping this as an insurance policy, most likely to exonerate himself. At approximately 10 p.m., I attempted contact with Mr. Redacted and discovered he was assisting his wife at her place of employment and would not be able to meet with me. Of course not. Mr. Redacted stated he would meet with me on January 6, 2006 in Broward County in the morning hours. On January 6, 2006 at approximately 9 a.m., I received a telephone call from Mr. Redacted who advised he had the file in hand and would be traveling northbound to meet with me in Broward County. At 10:50 a.m., I met with Redacted at the parking lot of Bank of America in Boca Raton. Redacted, known as the Redacted produced a green folder which contained documents, a note with Mr. Epstein's stationery, with direction to deliver a bucket of roses to Redacted after Redacted. Also in that same note was direction to rent a car for Redacted, and direction to extend the rental contract. I returned to the Palm Beach police station and placed the folder into evidence. I received a fax from Redacted from the subpoena request sent on January 4th, 2006. Redacted registered to Dr. Redacted from West Palm Beach. Dr. Redacted is a chiropractor and has an office located Redacted in West Palm Beach. The cellular number is Dr. Redacted personal cellular number. On January 9, 2006, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Redacted in Palm Beach Gardens in an attempt to locate Redacted, who had been previously seen on the property and identified through her Florida driver's license and Florida license plate. A business card was left for her to return my call. We then traveled to the Redacted and located Redacted, agreed to speak with us. In a private room within the school, provided us a taped statement. During the statement, Redacted advised that when she was 15 or 16 years of age, she was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's house by her associate. Redacted stated this occurred late May 2004 or early June 2004. She was told she could model lingerie for money for a wealthy Palm Beacher. She remembered they traveled by a yellow cab from their residence in West Palm Beach to Epstein's house. She remembered encountering Epstein at the front door during the evening hours. He introduced himself and brought them into the kitchen so that the chef could prepare something for them to eat. After having a meal, Redacted and Epstein brought Redacted upstairs to a master bedroom, which had a large bathroom. She observed a large style shower sauna, and there was a large massage bed also in the bathroom. Epstein entered a room within the bathroom and came out wearing only a towel. Redacted said they would provide a massage on his feet. Redacted asked why they are doing this. Redacted told her this was part of the routine and told her to rub his legs and calves. Epstein had told Redacted to get comfortable. Redacted continued rubbing Epstein's calves and feet. At Epstein's direction, Redacted then left the room, leaving Redacted there by herself. Epstein told Redacted to get comfortable, removed her blouse and pants, and stayed in her panties. Redacted stated she was not wearing a bra. She believed she was wearing thong panties. Epstein turned over onto his back and began Redacted. Epstein redacted. Epstein instructed her to redacted state that redacted on the first time. He redacted. During the first massage, she stated Epstein was redacted. He put his hands under the towel and appeared as to you know what himself. However, she never saw his you know what. She continued rubbing his chest until he grabbed her and pulled her closer to him. He appeared to have you know what because after he pulled her close to him, the massage was over. Epstein had told her that there was $200 for her on the dresser. He told her that she could not tell anyone what happened at the house or bad things could happen. Redacted stated she went to Epstein's house 3 or 4 times total. So she returned after that. Redacted was very scared and felt very nervous. She knew because of Epstein's money, he was powerful. After the massage, Epstein ordered his housemate at the time to drive the girls home. The employee was to drop off the girls at their house and watch them go inside their house. Now, where are the parents if their girls are showing up in random cars back to their house and they have no recollection of where their kids are during the day outside of school hours? I that's unbelievable. Redacted could not remember who the houseman was. She stated Epstein and his assistant Redacted would call her at her father's house to arrange for her to come and work. So they're calling the house. I'm assuming they're calling the girls' cell phones. She advised each time she returned to the house, Epstein would do the same thing. Redacted stated it was a routine with Epstein. She would rub his feet and calves. He would then turn over and begin to redacted. The only difference was that it was redacted. Epstein's redacted as he would, you know what, and finally, you know what, and the massage would be over. She was paid $200 each time she went. Each time she went, she was reminded not to speak of what happened at the house and that she would be contacted again. She began to purposely miss the calls when either Redacted or Epstein would call her. She once brought a friend, Redacted unknown last name, to work for Epstein, so she's recruiting at this point. She was paid $200 for bringing Redacted. Redacted stated she no longer returned to work for Epstein. She also stated that she wanted to notify the police of what happened at the house. Redacted stated she was scared of what could have happened to her or her family if she notified authorities. On January 10, 2006, I received the results from the subpoena from Bell South Telecommunications for telephone number Redacted. The Redacted is assigned to Mr. Redacted, father in Palm Beach Gardens. I also received the results from Redacted, which confirmed the money order sent to Redacted from Jeffrey Epstein in New York City. The wire was sent by Jeffrey Epstein of 457 Madison Avenue in New York City on December 23, 2004 at 12:05 p.m. The amount of $222 was charged to Epstein's credit card so that Redacted could receive $200 in Royal Palm Beach. The $22 was for processing and local fees to send the money via Redacted. A copy of the check presented to Redacted was also attached to the receipt of the wire. This confirmed what Redacted advised she received as a Christmas bonus from Epstein. So this clearly shows how comfortable Epstein was doing all of this. I mean, he's leaving traces of himself everywhere. He's got logs, he's got books, he's got multiple witnesses as far as working staff. You have multiple women that he's threatened, wire transfers, money, flowers, toys left behind. I mean, the evidence is just overwhelming. I received and reviewed the singular wireless results from the subpoena request for subscriber information for Redacted, Redacted, and Redacted. The first number, Redacted, is assigned to Redacted in care of Jeffrey Epstein of 457 Madison Avenue, New York City. Redacted is the current house manager for 358 El Brio Way in Palm Beach, Florida. The second number, Redacted, is assigned to Redacted of Redacted in West Palm Beach. Research conducted on Redacted revealed she is a licensed massage therapist with a Florida conditional active license number Redacted. Redacted had been previously redacted. The last number Redacted is assigned to Redacted of Redacted in Palm Beach Gardens. Research on Mr. Redacted revealed that he is a Florida chiropractic physician. Vehicles that were previously documented on the property while surveillance was being conducted were researched. I determined a Redacted bearing Florida license Redacted was seen on the property in which a young white female was seen entering the Epstein property. Research was conducted which revealed that the vehicle is registered to Redacted of Lake Worth. Mr. Redacted has two daughters, Redacted and Redacted. Redacted is currently residing in Connecticut, and Redacted is residing with her father in Lake Worth. Research on Redacted reveals she was recently involved in a Redacted. A request to discover any information from the Redacted was requested. So it looks like she's got another situation going here. I spoke with ASA Delia Weiss, who informed me that Redacted would be available for an interview tomorrow at the state attorney's office in West Palm Beach at 1:30 p.m. I informed her that I would be at her office for the interview. On January 19, 2006, Detective Redacted and I met with Redacted at Redacted in Palm Beach Gardens. Redacted was identified as a licensed massage therapist who had previously been seen on Epstein's property when physical surveillance was done. Redacted was told of the ongoing investigation. I felt she may have information pertaining to the case. During a sworn taped statement, Redacted stated she met Epstein 3 years ago when Ghislaine Maxwell approached her while she was attending Redacted to work around Epstein's house. Maxwell had told her that they needed some girls to work at the house to answer phone calls and run errands. Redacted accepted the job and began working at Epstein's house on El Brio in Palm Beach. Redacted stated it was a part time job during the time she went to Redacted. She continued going to Epstein's house and would be notified when Epstein would travel to Palm Beach. Redacted advised she would be notified by Maxwell Epstein or Redacted, his assistant, when he would travel to Palm Beach. Redacted stated she began providing massages to Epstein before she became a massage therapist. So this girl basically did massages so long for Epstein, she turned it into a career. She continued giving massages not only to Epstein but to Redacted, and Redacted his assistant. Redacted was asked about what occurred during the massages. Redacted stated, as she was 23 years old when she met Epstein, anything that happened was between two consenting adults. So here she is basically protecting the perpetrator. I explained to her that she was not in any trouble. However, as part of this investigation, I needed to ask certain questions. Redacted stated that there were times that Epstein would ask her to perform during the massage. He would instruct her to redacted. Redacted stated she felt gross about the behavior, but as she was getting paid, she just continued. Redacted also advised she would on occasion perform the massages naked. Epstein would on occasion utilize the redacted when she performed the massages. Redacted explained that Epstein never exposed himself to her as he maintained himself covered under the towel he would be wearing. When Epstein would redact, he would be covered. I asked if Redacted ever received any gifts or gratuities from Epstein. Redacted advised, aside from being paid well, she advised Epstein took care of her tuition from Redacted College. She received a rental car for a week when her scooter broke down. So clearly, she did a lot. I mean, he paid for her college. Additionally, she received other gifts from Epstein. Epstein also recommended her to another client who resides at Redacted in Palm Beach. The client she was referred to was Redacted, unknown last name, and his wife, who she provided a massage to. The statement was concluded and placed into evidence upon our return to the Palm Beach Police Department. While at the police station, I researched Florida tag Redacted, which also previously seen on the prop was which also was also previously seen on the property when there was physical surveillance being done at the property. The vehicle is registered to Redacted of Lake Worth, Florida. Researching Mr. Redacted and the vehicle revealed that his daughter Redacted had been redacted. The vehicle is a Redacted. I researched Redacted date of birth. Redacted resides at Redacted in Lake Worth. Redacted has a MySpace page called, and there's the name of her MySpace page. Obviously, it's not going to be revealed. I don't know if anybody uses MySpace anymore, but it's probably still there. And her webpage shows various photos of Redacted photographed at a beach. An interview is forthcoming. A review of the video disc, which was extracted at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office Computer Crime Unit, revealed that only one hidden camera was functional at the time. Several images of Epstein working at his office were seen. Additional footage of Redacted and Redacted was seen. There was other footage of females seen. The identity of the females is unknown at this time until such time as I meet with certain females to show the video footage to confirm if in fact it is them on the video. At this time, it appears that Redacted and Redacted are seen sitting with Epstein beside his desk in the evening hours. Due to poor lighting, a direct confirmation cannot be made at this time. On January 25th, 2006, Detective Redacted and I responded to Redacted in Lake Worth and met with Redacted. She stated last year, when she was 17 years of age, she met Jeffrey Epstein through her former roommate, Redacted. Redacted was allegedly dating Epstein at the time. Redacted and Redacted had once cohabitated together when they modeled. Redacted explained Redacted called her on her telephone and advised her that she was in Palm Beach and requested to see her. Redacted made arrangements to meet with her at Epstein's house. Redacted arrived and met Epstein and Redacted. Redacted and Redacted went to the Palm Beach Mall together and went shopping. Redacted advised that Redacted and she had received money from Epstein to go to the mall. They visited Victoria's Secret and purchased undergarments from the store utilizing monies given by Epstein. Redacted advised she purchased one item and Redacted purchased various items. The money used to purchase the items was the money given by Epstein. Redacted and Redacted continued shopping and having a date together. Redacted explained how she and Epstein have been dating each other and he has been paying all of her bills. Redacted claimed Redacted advised they meet in New York and had been dating ever since. They later returned to Epstein's home and encountered Epstein. He had a brief conversation with Redacted about her modeling career. He knew of her modeling career from Redacted. He requested to see her modeling portfolio and explained that he could help her with modeling jobs. Redacted had her book with her to show Redacted and showed the book to Epstein. He commented negatively about her photographs and portfolio. Redacted felt uncomfortable with the comments made as she had been working with other professional modeling companies who had offered her work from her photographs. Epstein requested to see what was purchased at the mall. Redacted took out the undergarments which were purchased. She immediately showed Epstein different sets purchased. Epstein then requested to view what Redacted purchased. Redacted was reluctant to show the outfit, however, since it was Epstein's money that purchased the item. She pulled it out of the bag. Epstein asked her to try it on. Redacted looked at Redacted, who told her, yeah, try it on. Feeling compelled to try the undergarment outfit on, she went on to another room and put on the bra and panty set. She walked out to the living room where they were sitting and modeled the suit. She then went back into the other room and changed back into her clothes. Redacted returned into the room and told Redacted she would be going home. Redacted scheduled another day for Redacted to return for massages with her. Redacted stated within that same week she returned to meet with Redacted and have a massage. Redacted had told her that she would be unable to stay with her as she would be going on a bike ride with Epstein. Redacted explained she could stay at the house and take advantage of the massage. Redacted stated she met with an unknown massage therapist and had the table already set up in a guest room. Redacted removed her clothing, leaving her panties on, and wrapped herself with a towel for the massage. Redacted remembered that the door to the guest room was closed but not locked. As the therapist was working her back, the door was opened by Epstein and entered into the room. Redacted was trying to conceal herself as Epstein was talking to her about his chiropractic session. Epstein told Redacted to turn over onto her back. Redacted eventually turned over, exposing her you know whats to Epstein as he applied pressure on her shoulder and waist. Redacted stated Epstein popped her back. Redacted removed herself from the table, got dressed, and left the house. Redacted further stated Redacted had attempted to call her on several occasions to invite her back to Epstein's house, to which Redacted replied, I'm busy. Redacted advised she has not had contact with either Redacted or Jeffrey Epstein. It should be noted that her mother, Redacted, was present during the interview. The interview was concluded, and we thanked them for her time. Lots of typos. On January 27, 2006, I made a telephone contact with Redacted at Redacted. Redacted is a licensed massage therapist who had frequented the home of Jeffrey Epstein. Ms. Redacted has been unable to meet with me in Palm Beach County, and because she lives and works in Port St. Lucia, a telephone interview was conducted. I explained to Ms. Redacted that there was an ongoing investigation involving Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted stated she knows Epstein and has been employed by him for approximately 3 years. Epstein has paid Redacted to perform Swedish massages on him and other guests. Redacted explained that approximately 3 years ago, she met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein through a mutual friend. Epstein and Maxwell were looking for a massage therapist. Redacted stated since that time, she is notified when Epstein is coming to Palm Beach. Redacted stated she comes to his house and provides the massage or massages. Redacted explained she has also massaged his guests and assistants. Redacted continued that she is paid $100 an hour for the massage. I asked Redacted if anything occurred during the massage that would have made her feel uncomfortable. Redacted stated she only provides massages and that was it. She never was approached for anything else. I asked if Epstein ever asked her to rub his chest. She stated she would not rub his chest as that is not part of her massage. Redacted explained that she was not Epstein's type. The girls she would see at Epstein's house were very thin, beautiful, and without tattoos. Redacted explained she has several tattoos that are visible. Maxwell and Epstein have commented negatively about her tattoos previously when she has provided massages. So it seems her involvement is a lot more than she's letting on, and she probably knows about everything that was going on in the house as well. Redacted stated she only provided massages for Epstein and his associates, and nothing happened during those massages. Redacted stated as she does Swedish style. The patient is usually sore after the massages. I thanked her for her assistance, and the interview was concluded at this time. I received a facsimile from Redacted service on telephone number Redacted, which is assigned to Redacted pilot for Mr. Epstein, who resides in Lake Worth. Redacted telephone number was dialed on several occasions by Redacted. A background on Redacted indicated he has a valid FAA pilot license, first class for the Southern FAA region. Redacted has another historical FAA license for airline transport pilot. On February 3rd, 2006, on a Friday, I made arrangements to meet with Redacted at the Palm Beach Police Station. At approximately 1 p.m., Redacted and our friend Redacted arrived at the police station. During an interview with Redacted, she stated she met Epstein when she turned 18 years old and was brought to Epstein's house to provide a massage. She advised this occurred on May of 2005. She advised Redacted had informed her if she wanted to provide a massage for $200. Redacted agreed and was brought to Epstein's house to provide a massage. Redacted stated she had been to the house on many occasions during the massage sessions. Redacted also stated she would remove her clothing to provide the massage on Epstein. Redacted advised Epstein would pay her $300 to rub his back, legs, and chest. During the massages, Epstein would you know what himself as she rubbed his chest. I asked her if Epstein ever redacted during the massages. Redacted replied yes. I asked her if Epstein ever redacted. Redacted stated he redacted. Asked if he ever redacted. Redacted stated that during a massage, redacted, she stated this occurred one time only. Redacted stated the massage would be over when Epstein would, you know what, on a towel. I asked Redacted if she had any formal massage training, to which she replied that she did not. Redacted was then asked if she ever brought anyone to the house to work. Redacted stated she brought two people to the house. She advised she received money for bringing people to the house to work. Redacted stated she brought a girl named Redacted, and her friend Redacted was still waiting for Redacted in the lobby of the police station. I thanked Redacted for her time and her cooperation and escorted her to the lobby. I asked Miss Redacted if I could speak with her about this investigation. I brought her to the interview room and explained to her that I was conducting an investigation on Jeffrey Epstein and felt she may have information pertaining to the investigation. Miss Redacted identified herself as Redacted and resides in Wellington, Florida. She advised approximately a year ago she was brought to Epstein's house to provide a massage for money. Redacted stated she needed to make money and felt it was a quick way to make money. Redacted stated she was brought to the house by Redacted and was introduced to Epstein and his assistant. She was brought to his main bathroom and provided a massage. Asked her if she provided the massage naked. Redacted stated redacted. She rubbed Epstein's legs, back, and chest. Asked if Redacted if Epstein touched her during the massage. She advised he did not. However, he did redact himself, you know what himself as she rubbed his chest. Once he, you know what it, the massage was over, she was paid her money and left the area. Redacted advised it occurred one time and she never returned to Epstein's house. The interview was concluded and Redacted was escorted to the lobby. I located a telephone number for Redacted and attempted to contact her on several occasions. I called Redacted and spoke with Miss Redacted, who advised she would speak with me in Deerfield Beach, where she resides. Due to a scheduling conflict, we were unable to meet. I informed her I would contact her to schedule another appointment to speak with her about this investigation. I have attempted to meet with her and make telephone contact with negative results. On February 13th, 2006, I met with Redacted at Redacted in Lake Worth. Redacted was identified as Epstein's pilot. I spoke with Redacted, who advised he has been employed with Epstein since 1991. So this interview is taking place in 2006. He's been working for the guy since 1991. So you do the math. It's a long time. It's 15 years. He flies both planes for Epstein, depending where he wants to fly to. Redacted was asked about passengers in the plane he flies. Redacted stated unless Epstein flew to his island off St. Thomas, there would be no way of knowing who the passengers were. I mentioned a recent flight to Ohio where Redacted flew to Ohio to pick up Redacted. Redacted stated he recalled flying on several occasions and did remember Redacted. Redacted stated once he is in the cockpit, he does not know who the passengers are. Now, that's very interesting that they don't have flight logs and they don't know who was on the plane. When he prepares the passenger manifest, he lists Epstein and his assistants. He knows by name, Redacted and Redacted. Redacted stated he would list either female or male passengers on the manifest only to keep account on the passengers. Mrs. Redacted came into the living room and recommended that her husband consult with an attorney. So at this point, you could tell the wife's been listening to the conversation. It's getting incriminating, which is an admission of guilt. And this guy was probably paid to not list who was on the plane because there were questionable individuals on these planes, and he was being paid to basically look the other way. Mr. Redacted agreed he would speak with the family attorney to inform him of this questioning. I explained to Mr. Redacted that he was not a suspect in this investigation and ceased all questions. Based on the fact Redacted could not advise who passengers were in the plane, I then left the area. I attempted to locate Redacted at Redacted in Wellington. I left my business card for her to return my call. On February 14, 2006, at 12:06 p.m., I received a call from Miss Redacted on my voicemail. Miss Redacted left her telephone number for a return call. Redacted, I left her a message to return call. On February 15th, we are 36% through this episode. On February 15, 2006, I made telephone contact with Redacted, who provided directions to where I could locate her. Detective Redacted and I responded to Redacted in Lake Park to meet with Redacted. Upon my arrival, I met with Redacted in the parking lot directly behind Mako Auto Painting. She was advised I was there to speak with her about an ongoing investigation that concerned Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach. Redacted stated she knows Epstein very well and did not want to speak with me about Mr. Epstein. She was very fond of Epstein and did not want to speak with me about anything concerning Jeffrey Epstein. I explained to her that she was seen at the house and I would like to speak with her. She stated she knew there was an investigation and that I had spoken with other people, and therefore I conversation and walked back into her boyfriend's business. Redacted, redacted. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Detective Redacted and I left the area and returned to the police station. So this person did not want to speak to the police at all. A grand jury session was requested during the month of February 2006, in which all the girls that had been interviewed would have been called to testify before the grand jury to seek an indictment against Jeffrey Epstein. Due to subsequent meetings with the state attorney's office and defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, the grand jury was postponed until a later time. Dershowitz had provided a package of material on the main victims in this case, in which they appear on MySpace and speak about alcohol use and some marijuana use. The state attorney's office wanted time to review the material. So this is basically Epstein's lawyer trying to discredit the witnesses, saying that, oh, they're probably just on drugs and alcohol. I requested additional subpoenas from the state attorney's office, in which I requested information from Dollar Rent-A-Car and Jet Aviation. The information requested from Dollar Rent-A-Car was for the rented vehicle by Redacted while under the employ of Epstein for one of the victims. The other subpoena requested was for Jet Aviation for dates and times when Epstein's planes were in Palm Beach County. I continued to research other names that were acquired either from interviews or intelligence gathered during the investigation. I located Redacted in Royal Palm Beach. I responded to Redacted in Royal Palm Beach. During the interview, Redacted stated she knew I would be speaking with her. Redacted stated she was first introduced to Epstein when she turned 18 years old. Redacted stated she was sure of her age as it was her senior year in Redacted. She advised she was brought there to make money and was told she would have to provide a massage to this Palm Beach guy. She remembered she met Epstein and his assistant, Redacted, in the kitchen area. She stated she was taken by one of her friends, Redacted. She stated she went upstairs with Redacted while Epstein got ready for the massage. He exited his bathroom naked, and Redacted turned around. Epstein asked her if being naked offended her. Redacted stated it made her uncomfortable. Epstein then put on a towel and lay on the table. Redacted stated she rubbed his back and feet. She stated she had no massage trainer experience. Radaball. So once again, they forgot a redaction fatigue. Radaball stated during the massage, Epstein attempted to redact it. Redacted pulled away. As he redacted, she told him again she was uncomfortable with him. Redacted. Epstein then cut the massage short and became upset with her. Epstein paid her $200 for the massage and told her to leave the house. Redacted never returned to the house. She did advise of one time she went with Redacted, however, she waited in the car for Redacted as she did not want to go into the house. So even though she had the unpleasant experience, she still accompanied other girls to the house in which she knew what was going to happen to them. At the conclusion of Redacted visit with Epstein, they left the area. Redacted stated she had heard from other girls that have gone to the house that Epstein now required them to do the massages naked and allow him to touch them in their private areas for money. The interview was concluded as Redacted did not have any other information to provide. I then learned from the original victim, Redacted, the defense attorney had learned of her identity. I spoke with the father of the victim, who stated there has been a private investigator on his house, photographing his family and chasing visitors who come to the house. Now, this is probably Epstein doing his own counter investigation and trying to intimidate witnesses. He provided a Florida license of Redacted. This vehicle is registered to Ivan Robles of West Palm Beach. Robles is a private investigator intern who is licensed by the state. I informed the state attorney's office of the above information. I received a grand jury subpoena for a grand jury session to be held on April 18th through April 20th of 2006. Well, it's a good thing he got the driver's license because they could at least identify the counterparts. Let me take a sip of my coffee. So the grand jury subpoenas were personally served to the individuals they were issued to. On April 5th, 2006, at approximately 7:30 p.m., I personally served Redacted, who informed me that the private investigators were still photographing the family. On April 10th, 2006, at approximately 2:30 p.m., I served Redacted at her residence in Royal Palm Beach. The subpoena was given to her mother. I learned through one of the victims, Redacted, that she was personally contacted through a source that has maintained contact with Epstein. The source assured that Redacted she would receive monetary compensation for assistance in not cooperating with law enforcement. So this is clear counter activity as far as hindering the investigation. Redacted also stated she was told those who help him will be compensated and those who hurt him will be dealt with. I told Redacted that tampering with a witness slash victim is an arrestable offense and very serious. Asked her who approached her during this encounter. Redacted originally was reluctant to provide the name of the person who approached her to offer her not to testify because she felt they were still friends. On April 11, 2006, Detective Redacted and I traveled to Tallahassee, Florida, and met with the victim, Redacted. Redacted identified Redacted, white female, as the person who approached her in Royal Palm Beach while she was home during spring break in March 2006. Redacted also stated she did not want to pursue the intimidation charges on Redacted. Redacted was concerned that the defense attorney was given a copy of the report, as certain things she had told me in confidence were repeated to her by Redacted. Prior to our departure, Redacted was given a copy of a subpoena for the grand jury, which was scheduled to commence April 18th of 2006. Upon our return from Tallahassee, I notified the state's attorney office of what was told to me. I also notified them that the subpoenas were delivered redacted and they would be calling for arrangements for the date and time needed for the grand jury. I spoke with ASA Weiss and informed her of the possible intimidation by the defense. On April 13th and 14th, 2006, I attempted contact on several occasions with ASA Weiss and ASA Belhalovic to ascertain when the victims needed to report for grand jury testimony. Messages were left on their voicemail on April 17th, 2006, during the hours of 9 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. I again left messages for ASA Weiss and ASA Belhalovic for either of them to return my call, as I had not heard from the state attorney's office as to the time and date of the grand jury. At approximately 12:30 p.m., I went to the state attorney's office and located ASA Weiss and ASA Belhalovic in their offices. I entered ASA Belhalovic's office, who informed me that she was going to return my call. She explained that an offer was made to the defense attorney Guy Fronston and attorney Alan Dershowitz. The offer is redacted. When asked about all the other victims, ASA Belhalovic stated that was the redacted. ASA Bahalovic's cell phone rang and went to voicemail. She checked her voicemail and played the message on speaker. The caller identified himself as redacted. Bahalovic stated a probable cause would be needed to book Epstein in the county jail and would let me know as to when it would be needed. Redacted, she explained to have Chief Rader call Barry Krischer about the deal. So this case is just being investigated and there's already a deal on the table. I left the area and returned to the police station where I briefed the chief about the deal offered. I checked my voicemail messages and discovered a message from Redacted's stepmother for the victim, Redacted. She was calling because the state attorney's office still had not returned any of her calls as to when they are needed for this case. I then called ASA Bahalovic's office and left messages for her to call the victims on this case and explain to them what the state attorney's office had done. On April 17, 2006, at approximately 4:30 p.m., State Attorney Investigator Tim Valentine called to officially notify me of the cancellation of the grand jury. He requested I contact the victims that had been served to appear to notify them of the cancellation. I advised Valentine that as this grand jury session was called based on the state attorney's office decision to have the victims heard by the grand jury, that I felt it was the state attorney's office responsibility to contact the victims and advise them of the reason they were no longer needed. So here we see detectives pursuing the case, and a deal has already been made, and grand juries are already being canceled. The corruption is clearly seen here. As I had not received any contact from anyone at the state attorney's office on May 1st, 2006, I prepared 3 arrest warrants requests and submitted them to the state attorney's office. The packages were delivered to the Crimes Against Children unit in care of ASA Lena Bahalovic. How do you offer a deal on a crimes against children case? Jeffrey Epstein's arrest warrant was requested for 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with certain minors and 1 count of lewd and lascivious molestation. Redacted, I'm sure I butchered that word. I think they misspelled it. Anyway, Epstein's assistant's arrest warrant request was for 4 counts of principal in the first degree unlawful activity with certain minors in one count of principle, in the first degree lewd and lascivious molestation. Redacted's arrest warrant request was for lewd and lascivious acts on a victim under 16 years of age. The receipt of delivery was signed and brought back to the records division at the police department. On May 3rd, 2006, at approximately 2:54 p.m., I received a telephone call from ASA Delia Weiss on my cellular telephone. ASA Weiss advised she has been taken off the Jeffrey Epstein case because her husband is employed with attorney Jack Goldberg. Attorney Goldberg is the attorney of record for Jeffrey Epstein. So now she's being pulled off the case because of her relationship with the defense. So the case is pretty much unraveling at this point. This is clearly Jeffrey's people undermining the case and basically picking it apart. His previous attorney, Guy Fronston, has been fired from representation. ASA Lena Belhalovic has been assigned the case. ASA Weiss stated she can no longer speak about the Epstein case with me. I thanked her for her telephone call. ASA Weiss further stated that ASA Belhalovic would be calling me. On May 10, 2006, information was received that Epstein's associate Leslie Wexner, the Limited Incorporated CEO plane had arrived in West Palm Beach. The plane, a Gulfstream 4 bearing redacted registration, was on the tarmac at Galaxy Aviation, as Epstein had recently acquired the services of a new attorney, and the fact that Epstein's house is currently under remodeling, it was believed that Epstein may be in Palm Beach. I conducted physical surveillance at the residence, 358 El Brio Way. I observed a large construction crew conducting remodeling at the house. The contractor, David Knorr, was observed driving a Ford Explorer, white in color. The vehicle has a Florida registration of redacted. Knorr left Epstein's house and traveled north on County Road. Detective Redacted and I conducted surveillance on Knorr. Knorr travels to several construction sites and checks on certain jobs. Surveillance was discontinued on Knorr, and Detective Redacted and I traveled to Galaxy Aviation. I observed the white plane with a blue stripe along the body and tail of the plane. The tail number was visible on the bottom of the plane, closer to the body of the plane. We maintained visual surveillance on the plane until 4:57 p.m. When a caravan of Cadillac Escalades drove onto the tarmac, we observed several people exit the vehicles and discovered that they were part of the executive team for Limited Incorporated. The executives were in Palm Beach County for an executive meeting for the day. They arrived in Palm Beach County on May 9, 2006 at 9:30 p.m. and were scheduled to leave on the 10th at 5 p.m. On May 12, 2006, I met with ASA Lana Belhalovic at the state attorney's office. She explained that her boss, Barry Kreischer, was requesting this case be taken to the grand jury again. I explained to her I had requested arrest warrants for Jeffrey Epstein, redacted and redacted. So there are 3 people that have arrest warrants here, but for some reason, 2 of them are redacted. These are not victims, these are perpetrators, but there's redactions. I asked that she either issue the warrants or direct file, as so much time has elapsed since their original request to the grand jury. So they're stalling. I explained that the Palm Beach Police Department had concluded the case in December of 2005 and has been waiting for the case to go forward, but Hollaback stated the redacted. She stated she would advise me of the answer. On May 22nd, 2006, I received several phone calls throughout the day from Mr. Redacted, who stated he had been followed aggressively by a private investigator. Mr. Redacted stated as he drove to and from work and running errands throughout the county, the same vehicles behind him running other vehicles off the road in an attempt not to lose sight of Mr. Redacted's vehicle. So they're intimidating the witnesses. I explained to him as Mr. Epstein had retained new legal counsel, it was possible it would be new private investigators following him to observe his daily activities. I also explained to him that there was a meeting scheduled with ASA Lana Belhalovic and attorney Jack Goldberger at Mr. Kreischer's office scheduled on June 1st, 2006 at 9 a.m. I attempted to call ASA Lana Belhalovic to inform her of the private investigators following Mr. Redacted. However, she was on her vacation during the week of May 22nd through May 30th, 2006. On May 23, 2006, I received other phone calls from Mr. and Mrs. Redacted who advised they were able to acquire the private investigator's license plate information. The subject following them was again driving very aggressively and caused Mrs. Redacted to run off the road. Mrs. Redacted stated the vehicle is a green Chevy Monte Carlo bearing Florida tag redacted. The vehicle is registered to Zachary Bachard of Jupiter, Florida. Bachard is employed with Candor Investigations from Jupiter, Florida. Bachard is a licensed private investigator in the state of Florida. Since the discovery of the threat, got to take a picture of that one. Look at that later. Since the discovery of the threat made against one of the victims in this case, I requested subpoenas for all calls made to and received from Redacted during the month of March 2006 for her cell phone and home phone. I had confirmed with Redacted the exact dates of spring break for 2006. The spring break was from Redacted. I received a subpoena from Redacted with all calls made during the month of March 2006. I reviewed the 989 calls made and received during the month of March 2006. I observed on March 7, 2006, Redacted made and received 35 calls during the day. Here are the listed calls: outbound, inbound, and this is redacted for some reason, even though the number has X's on it. The table reflects the dates of the calls, time of day, duration. Let me go back here. Made and received 35 calls during the day. Duration of calls in seconds, inbound or outbound calls, and calls made to or from Redacted's phone. March 7, 2006 at 11:03 a.m., Redacted made a call to the victim, Redacted, which lasted 492 seconds. The victim then returned the call at 11:16 a.m., which lasted 6 seconds. The victim then made contact with Redacted at 11:22 for 877 seconds. These sequences of calls were consistent with what the victim had described to me on the date of the intimidation. Immediately after speaking with the victim, Redacted made a call to Redacted, Epstein's assistant, which lasts for 48 seconds. A call is then immediately received. A telephone number registered to a corporation affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein, located at 457 Madison Avenue, New York. An extensive computer check revealed 457 Madison Avenue was a business address in which Epstein has his corporations assigned to. Epstein had corporation attorney, Redacted, register the businesses and register himself as an agent. I also observed Epstein has his El Zorro Ranch Corporation's New York Strategy Group, Galen Corporation, J. Epstein and Company, and the Financial Strategy Group registered to the same address. Finally, a third call is received by Redacted at 12:02 p.m. from the same corporate number, which lasts 12 minutes and 1 second. It should be noted that there is no further contact with either the victim during the month of March or April of 2006. I also noted that there was no further contact with Redacted or Jeffrey Epstein during the remainder of the month of March or April of 2006. On June 1st, 2006, ASA Lina Belhalovic telephoned me to inform me of the meeting that occurred with attorney Jack Goldberger in her reference this case. She advised she would make her determination on whether to file on this case or not by Monday, June 5th, 2006. On June 29th, 2006, I had spoken to ASA Lana Belhalovic, who informed me that the case would be sent to the grand jury for charges. She informed me that the grand jury would convene on July 19th, 2006 to hear the Epstein case. Belhalovic stated State Attorney Barry Kreischer made the determination to go to the grand jury to hear the case. On July 12th of 2006, I spoke with Mrs. Redacted, mother of the victim, Redacted, who inquired about the status of the case. I explained to her that I was told we would be going to the grand jury during the week of July 19th of 2006. She stated she had not been contacted as of yet by the state attorney's office for any information. I provided her with the telephone numbers to the state attorney's office. So here we have the Palm Beach incident report. There's the case number. They all have the same case number, and this is dated July 28th of 2006. It has the occupations. This was a financial advisor. This one is all redacted. It says do not release the juveniles. These are victim reports. Occupation waitress, female. So this is a victim, and this is a victim. We saw some victim reports before, but this is victim number 3. I wonder if this is the same report we saw before. So here are some narratives. I don't know if these are copies of the ones we already saw. On July 27, 2006, the Palm Beach Police Department received a phone call from a woman, redacted. It said she received a recent newspaper article about the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein and advised she has information about Epstein. Okay, so now news is getting out. People are coming forward. An attempt was made to interview Redacted immediately. But she advised she had to work and would not be available to meet on this date. Redacted said she could meet with detectives on July 28th, 2006 at noon. On July 28, 2006, at approximately 1200 hours, Redacted came to the Palm Beach Police Department. I verified Redacted's identification by her Florida driver's license. Redacted said she read an article in the Palm Beach Post newspaper on July 25th, 2006, which advised Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. Redacted said the article advised a lie detector test was passed by Epstein, which stated Epstein did not know the girls in question were under the age of 18. I mean, he must be really good at lying. Redacted, she was a victim of Epstein, and she advised she told him on numerous occasions she was only 17 years old. I took a sworn tape statement from Redacted. Redacted said she had approximately 10 contacts with Epstein between the months of February of 2005 and May of 2005. Redacted explained how she first came in contact with Epstein. Redacted said one night in February of 2004, she was hanging out with a friend named Redacted. Redacted said Redacted told her she could make some money by massaging a man that lived in Palm Beach. Redacted said the next morning she received a phone call from Redacted asking if she wanted to go to see this man. Redacted said she decided to go with Redacted to Palm Beach. Redacted said Redacted told her she would have to massage this man and possibly take her clothes off. Redacted told Redacted she would receive approximately $200 for the massage. Redacted said she drove Redacted to Palm Beach. Redacted said she took the Southern Boulevard Bridge into Palm Beach and then drove north on the road next to the beach. Redacted said she turned onto El Brio and drove to the last house on the left, described the house as being white in color. She parked the car in a home's driveway and noticed two black Suburban SUVs. She advised there were two black Mercedes-Benz vehicles in the garage, along with a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. Redacted said they walked through a gate to the back door where they were greeted by a redacted woman who was wearing some type of uniform. Redacted said the woman told them to wait in the kitchen for Redacted. Redacted said a Redacted then entered the kitchen. Redacted described as Redacted as being in her Redacted, and approximately Redacted advised Redacted to take Redacted up to the bathroom, and show Redacted what to do. Redacted said once in the upstairs bathroom, she noticed a massage table in the middle of the room. Redacted saw a green and pink couch in the room. Redacted saw numerous towels stacked in the left corner of the room. Redacted said Epstein entered the room wearing a robe. Redacted said the man introduced himself as Jeffrey and shook her hand. Epstein also said hello to Redacted. Redacted said Epstein dropped his robe and was wearing a towel around his waist. Epstein laid face down on the table, at which time she and Redacted began to massage him. Redacted said while they were massaging Epstein through conversation, she advised Epstein she was 17 years of age and still in high school. Redacted said after approximately 10 to 15 minutes, Epstein asked the girls to Redacted their tops off. Redacted said she and Redacted took their tops off, exposing their bras. Redacted said seconds later, Epstein asked them to take their bras off, which both did. Redacted said after more massage, Epstein asked Redacted to leave the room, leaving only Redacted present with Epstein. Redacted said Epstein asked her to take her pants off, which she did. Redacted said she was totally nude at this time. Redacted said Epstein got up from the table and sat on the aforementioned couch. Redacted said Epstein sat on the towel and Redacted in front of her. Redacted said Epstein's Redacted was fully exposed. Epstein told Redacted to get a you know what out of a drawer in the bathroom. Redacted said the blue gray you know what was skinny at the handle but had a large ball at the top. Redacted said the you know what was more of a you know what than a massage item. Redacted said Epstein Redacted, but she told him she did not want him to touch her. Redacted said Epstein asked her to talk dirty to him. Redacted said once Epstein climaxed, she told her the money was next to the sink, and then he jumped into the shower. Redacted said she put her clothes on, and both her and Redacted left the house. Redacted said she thinks Redacted received $200. Redacted said she went to Epstein's house with Redacted on either one or two other occasions. Redacted said eventually Epstein's assistant Redacted would call her to make appointments. Redacted said Redacted would call her from different phone numbers, but most of the time it was from Redacted. Showed me her cell phone, which had this number in her address book under the name of Redacted. The person who made the call should also be in jail. Maybe that was one of the Redacted names. Redacted said after her first visit, Epstein started to redact, and Redacted Epstein would also redact. Redacted said in March of 2004, she believes on her fifth visit to Epstein's home, Epstein Redacted said Epstein did this for approximately 1 minute until she told him to stop. Redacted said Epstein did not. Redacted said Epstein did stop and no more Redacted took place. Redacted said Epstein would ask her on occasion if she would have you know what with him, but she always denied his request. Redacted said Epstein offered her more money for you know what, but she repeatedly declined. Redacted said Epstein told her she should be a model and he would help her become a model. Redacted said Epstein told her he could not wait until she turned 18 years of age so he could fly her to Paris, France. Redacted said she last had contact with Epstein or his assistant Redacted was The last time she had contact with Epstein or his assistant, redacted, was in May of 2005. Redacted said she told two friends about what she did at Epstein's house. These two friends, redacted date of birth, and redacted date of birth, redacted, both agreed to meet with Epstein and provide massages. Redacted said she told both girls that they would have to massage this man and possibly get undressed. Redacted told both girls they would receive approximately $200 for these massages. Redacted said she is unaware how many times Redacted went to Epstein's house. Redacted advised she did not tell Redacted she was reporting these actions to the police. Redacted had in her possession 2 tubes of Bath and Body Works lotion she said came from Epstein's home. Redacted said she did not remember when she got these lotions from Epstein's home, but she no longer wanted to possess them. I completed a property receipt which Redacted signed and placed the lotions into evidence. Redacted signed an affidavit stating she wished to prosecute Epstein based on his actions. Redacted reiterated she told Epstein on numerous occasions she was only 17 years of age when the above took place. This affidavit was placed into the attachment file. This videotape of the interview was placed into evidence. On July 31st of 2006, at approximately 11:15, Detective Redacted and I met with Redacted, date of birth Redacted, at her home. Redacted advised she did not meet a man. She did meet a man named Jeffrey in 2004 when she believed she was either 16 or 17 years of age. Redacted said she provided a massage for this man. Redacted said sometime in 2004, her friend Redacted told her she could make $300 for giving a man a massage. Redacted said approximately 2 weeks later, she decided to go with Redacted to this man's house. Redacted said Redacted drove her to a large Redacted in the West Palm Beach area. Redacted said she did not know the exact location of the house, but believes the house was near water. Redacted said it was approximately 8:30 p.m. when they arrived. Redacted said both she and Redacted drank beer and used Xanax before they arrived at this house. Redacted said she was under the influence of the beer and Xanax. Redacted said upon arrival they met with the Redacted woman who was in her Redacted. Redacted described this woman as being the manager of the girls that visit this house. She needs to be in jail. Redacted said they went into the house and then she and Redacted were led to a massage room in the house. Redacted said she saw numerous photos of naked women and also sculptures of naked women throughout the house. Redacted said moments later, a man named Jeffrey entered the room wearing a robe. Redacted said Jeffrey removed his robe and lay down on the massage table. Redacted said she and Redacted massaged Jeffrey for approximately 20 minutes. Redacted said she massaged Jeffrey's legs using some type of lotion. Redacted said Jeffrey asked Redacted to leave the room. Redacted said Jeffrey asked her to take her shirt off. Redacted said she removed her shirt, exposing her bra. Redacted said Jeffrey asked her to remove her other clothes, but she refused his request. Redacted said she was wearing a short skirt and underwear along with the bra. Redacted said Jeffrey began to, in full view of her. Redacted said she did see Jeffrey's Redacted said Jeffrey redacted. Redacted said she felt uncomfortable and asked Jeffrey to stop, which he did. Redacted said once Jeffrey was done whating, she went downstairs and met with Redacted. Redacted said they both received $200, but she could not remember who gave them the money. Of course not. I showed Redacted a photo lineup containing Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted positively identified Epstein as the man in picture 3. Redacted said Jeffrey did not ask her how old she was. Redacted said she could not remember if she mentioned she was in high school. Redacted said she knew of other girls who went to Jeffrey's house. Redacted supplied those names, Redacted, and a girl named Redacted. Redacted signed an affidavit stating she wishes to prosecute based on Epstein's activities. Redacted swore that her above statement was the truth. This interview was digitally recorded, and this recording, along with the photo lineup, were placed into evidence. On July 31st, 2006, at approximately 12:30, Detective Redacted and I met with Redacted, date of birth Redacted, at our home. Redacted advised she did know a man named Jeffrey Epstein. Redacted advised she met Epstein when she was in Redacted, which was in the year Redacted believes she was either 16 or 17 years of age. Redacted said a fellow student at Redacted advised her she could make $200 for massaging man. Redacted said she could not remember the girl's name, but it started with a Redacted. Redacted said this girl Redacted was in a lower grade than she was. Redacted said this girl picked her up in a cab, and the cab took them to Palm Beach. I'm trying to wrap my head around these young 16-year-old girls taking cabs. Maybe they need to interview these cab companies too if they were frequently going to Jeffrey Epstein's house. Redacted said the cab had to go over a bridge, and she thought the name of the street was Redacted. Redacted said once at the house, they waited in the kitchen. Redacted said she saw numerous attractive females walking around the house. Redacted said one of the females, a redacted who was approximately redacted years of age, appeared to work for Epstein. Redacted said Redacted took her upstairs and told her to get into her bra and panties. Redacted said she removed her pants and shirt and was only wearing her bra and panties. Redacted said she saw a massage table in the bathroom, a couch in the room wearing, wait, what? Saw a couch in the room, a shower off to the side, and lotions. Redacted said Epstein entered the room wearing sleeping pants. Redacted said Epstein got on the table and she began giving him a massage. Redacted said Redacted left the room. Redacted said Epstein asked her how old she was and she said she was 16 or 17. Redacted could not remember exactly how old she was when this occurred. Redacted said she told him she was in high school. Redacted said Epstein asked her to take off all of her clothes and she refused. Redacted said Epstein rolled to his side, started to you know what in full view of her and you know what in his hand. Redacted said she saw his you know what. Redacted said she put her clothes back on and went downstairs and eventually left in a cab. Redacted said she received $200 for that visit. Redacted said approximately 2 months later, she received a phone call from the redacted woman at the house who asked her if she needed a job. Redacted said she did not want to see Epstein again, but was told she could bring a friend. Redacted said she contacted her friend, so she didn't want to see him, but she sent someone else. Redacted advised her she could make $200 for massaging a man. Redacted said Redacted drove them to Epstein's house. Redacted said Redacted met with Epstein and they both received $200. Redacted said she has had no more contact with Epstein or Epstein's assistant. Redacted advised she knew of other girls that went to Epstein's house. Those girls were, she named the girls. Redacted said the girls she knows as Redacted brought many girls to Epstein's house besides those mentioned in this interview. Redacted said during the course of her conversation with Epstein, he told her she was beautiful and that he wanted her to live with him in Los Angeles. I showed Redacted a photo lineup containing Epstein. Redacted positively identified Epstein from photo 3. Redacted signed an affidavit stating she wishes to prosecute based on Epstein's activities. Redacted swore that her above statement was the truth. This interview was digitally recorded, and this recording and the photo lineup were placed into evidence. I'm assuming that that was supposed to say lineup was placed into evidence, but I digress. On July 31st, 2006, at approximately 1400 hours, Detective Redacted and I met with Redacted, date of birth Redacted, at the Boynton Beach Mall. Redacted advised she did have contact with Jeffrey Epstein when she was a Redacted in high school. Redacted said it was either in 2003 or 2004, and she believes she was 16 years of age when they met. Redacted advised back in 2003 she was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by her friend Redacted. Redacted advised her she could make $200 for giving this man a massage. Redacted said Redacted told her she might have to get undressed during the massage. Redacted said Redacted drove her to a big house in the town of Palm Beach. Redacted could not give an exact address or location, but said it was near the beach. Redacted said once at the home, a thin white female with redacted hair, approximately redacted years of age, answers the door. Redacted thinks the woman's name was Redacted. Redacted said she and Redacted entered the kitchen and then went upstairs to a bathroom. Redacted said there was a massage table in the middle of the bathroom. Redacted said Epstein entered the shower and then laid down on the table fully nude. Redacted said she and Redacted started to massage Epstein's legs and chest. Redacted said Epstein told Redacted to go on the balcony, which Redacted did. Epstein asked Redacted to take her clothes off. Redacted said she took all her clothes off and she was nude. Redacted said she continued to massage Epstein, at which time Epstein began to you know what in her full view. Redacted said she did see Epstein's you know what. Redacted said while he you know whated Epstein did Redacted said Epstein stopped you know whating, but she did not see him you know what. Redacted said Epstein got up from the table and she immediately put her clothes back on. Redacted said she and Redacted then went downstairs. Redacted said she received $200 from Redacted. Redacted said she believes Redacted also received $200 from Redacted. Redacted said Epstein never asked her how old she was, nor did she tell him her age. Redacted said during small talk with Epstein, she did mention she was in school, but she never said what level of school she was in. Redacted said she never returned to Epstein's house, nor has either Redacted or Epstein made attempts to contact her. I showed redacted a photo lineup containing Epstein. Redacted positively identified Epstein is position 3. Redacted advised she knew of other girls that went to Epstein's home. These girls are redacted, redacted, and redacted. And redacted advised she has no professional massage training, nor does she believe the other girls are trained in massage therapy. Redacted signed an affidavit stating she wished to prosecute based on Epstein's activities. Redacted swore that her above statement was the truth. This interview was taped using a digital recording. This recording was placed into evidence along with the photo lineup as the investigation continues. So they've got plenty of testimony from various individuals that sound exactly the same. This says this was the end of the report. We're going to jump to 7253. I know these witness statements are very long, but it's definitely necessary. I mean, this is the meat and potatoes of this case, which is why we're here. So 7253, just to make sure we're there. There it is. So it says March 23rd, 2007. FBI, West Palm Beach, Florida, Dear Redacted. This is in response to the subpoena issued pursuant to 21 U.S.C. 876, dated February 16th of 2007, and served upon T-Mobile USA on March 23rd, 2007. The subpoena requests customer identification, account information, and call detail records for the T-Mobile USA subscriber assigned mobile telephone number redacted. A search of our subscriber database discloses the following information. You've got the account number, Jeffrey Epstein, date of birth, January 20th of 1953, New York. Services canceled, signed by Law Enforcement Relations. Should you have any questions regarding this information, please feel free to contact me at your convenience. My direct phone number is redacted. So here are the phone records, and we've had plenty of phone records and plenty of episodes, so we know not to look at all of these in depth because we know they're all redacted as far as the numbers called. Looks like New York and Florida numbers, so we're just going to scroll through these. And we are 60% through this episode, 63%, 64, 66, 70%. Apparently it was a BlackBerry used. New York calls, BlackBerry, Florida, New York. At the time, BlackBerry was a very popular phone. This is in the early 2000s, especially when it was considered for business. It was considered a business phone. So a lot of business people had BlackBerries, especially in New York. All right, so we are 94% through this episode. Looks like all call records. And we will be calling it here. We have the last file, file 7300, which actually happens to be the last file of this vertical drop down. So we'll read that, March 23rd, 2007. This is in response to the subpoena issued pursuant to 21 U.S.C. 876, dated February 16th, 2007, and served upon T-Mobile USA on March 23rd, 2007. The subpoena requests customer identification, account information, and call detail records for the T-Mobile USA subscriber assigned mobile telephone number redacted. So here is his information once again. Now, the reason they probably have multiple letters is because he had multiple phones. So he probably had multiple phones with the same phone service. So they would probably have to issue a letter for each of these numbers because it's a particular request for that particular number. I don't think they would have been able to just lump them all together and say, we have a subpoena for all of these numbers. They have to do it individually. But with that being said, I know this episode has to be well over an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours like the last one. It was interesting seeing, because this was a deep dive, these last two episodes, and we may have more deep dives moving forward. But like I said, I'm here for it, and we're going to be transparent and go through every file. Like I said, from episode 1, we're going to go through all 3 million plus files one by one. So hopefully you guys were able to bear through episodes 72 and 73. 71 was trying to think how long episode 71 was. Episode 71 was about 26 minutes. So the last two episodes, 72 and 73, I know 72 was very heavy, but nonetheless, we got a lot of people that stuck through and watched that episode. So kudos to you guys. And it just kind of shows, I know some people wanted longer episodes. Well, that was the longest episode we've had in the history of this channel, about 2.5 hours. And we didn't really see too much of a break of as far as retention and you guys being with me on these files. I mean, it wasn't the highest viewage, but like I said, it's still early. It was just yesterday. But I appreciate all of my sleuths as always. If there's any comments or anything you guys saw, please put it in the comment section. And I'm assuming because since the episodes are so in depth and so deep as far as the material, you probably don't have time to leave comments because there's so much to absorb. So I'll give you guys a couple days just to sit with those episodes as we continue to put out more episodes. So continue to watch the episodes and continue on the journey with me. And as always, make sure you're subscribed, hit your notifications, because like I said, we've seen a pattern where if there's no meat on the bones, you might get 3 or 4 episodes, or if you get a really in-depth set of 100 files, then you get a 2.5 hour episode like we had in the last one. But since I've had you guys so long, I'm gonna let you guys go. I will see you guys in the next episode, which will be episode 74, where we will be reviewing files 7300 through 7400. And as always, make sure you share on your platforms, your Instagram, your TikTok, your Twitter, your or should I say X, whatever account you have to make people aware of these files. I mean, we've seen and uncovered so many things that are not public knowledge, and the world needs to know that. The more we repost, the more that we share this, the less people will be distracted by sports and World Cup and all these other things that are going on that are being used to brush this under the rug. We can't allow that to happen. And with that being said, you guys take care. I will see you in the next episode.